They used to tell me I was building a dream with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in line, just waiting for bread? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly-dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with the drum. Say, don't you remember? They called me Al. It was Al all the time. Why don't you remember? I'm your pal. Say, buddy, can you spare a dime?
See, I thought that we watched a film called The Watcher, and that was super creepy.
The Watcher?
Scariest thing for Laura is a stranger just staring at her.
No, that was super scary. Well, he did decapitate them.
Yes,
so
he decapitated them.
So once again, this is only for 3 players, or?
No, we got 4. I don't know where Alan is though.
You should definitely watch it. It was actually really quite good movie, though. It was like the whole sort of development was really good. I was scared, but yeah.
I was scared.
I might check it out. I despite how much I love playing these horror themed games, I'm still not a big fan of it. Like, I might check it out if morbid curiosity, because that's usually what gets me to watch scary movies. It's like, okay, that's kind of interesting. I kind of want to know how it ends.
I'd say it's more of a thriller, that one, because it's just the creepiness. You know what I mean? And then not knowing, is he a bad guy? Is he the killer? Is it this other guy? You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's a bit more Hitchcock.
More mystery.
Hitchcock style kind of horror.
Alright. I might check it out. Who knows?
It was alright. It wasn't amazing.
You guys seen Wrong Turn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Many times.
Well, the reason why I brought it up, the first one, Dark. See, I like making characters like that. The main character. Remember when they were under the table?
Yes.
Yeah, how they were under the table and the blood started coming in and he was calmly just moving away from it and how she was all freaking out. Yeah, I like making those kind of characters because he knows that screaming and shit ain't gonna mean nothing.
Yeah, that is such a scary movie.
Wrong Turn's not the motel one, is it?
No, that's No Vacancy.
Right.
Yeah, Wrong Turn is pretty much crazy hillbilly.
Is it the trucker one?
Sure.
It has a yellow truck in it.
No, it's not the trucker that comes after them, is it? That's a different one.
No, it's crazy hillbilly trying to eat them.
I think the hitchhiker or the hitcher or something.
Right, yeah. Laura watches a lot of these films.
Yeah, my girlfriend does too, and then she has nightmares, and she always has to make comments like, I don't know why I'm having all these nightmares. I'm like, maybe it's because you're watching the fucking scary movies. And she's like, oh yeah.
Unless John is in the bedroom, I have to have the light on. So sometimes I have to sleep with the light on. I can't.
But sometimes she means
dark.
every night.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
No, for me, like, I'm not even really that ashamed to admit it. Like, as a kid, whenever my family would watch scary movies, apparently I watched them the same way my grandfather would, which is like to stand basically in the doorway of the room. That way, if it gets too scary, I can just leave, like, instantly. Like, I don't, like, everyone's like, come on, sit down and just watch it with us. Like, you're being a coward. I'm like, no, I'm good here. I'll just stand in the doorway.
I thought it was quite funny. Me and my friends were like in the cinema, and then we were hiding behind our jackets when it was, the scary bits, and like these guys were just like laughing at us because we're like hiding behind the jacket.
But see, you going to cinema with Emily, just like when you're playing this with Swindle, you just like make each other more scared.
Honestly, yeah, kind of. Especially
Yeah, that is true.
whenever Mildred would push Kian forward into the darkness, I'm like, well, fuck, I guess I have to go in now.
And Mildred didn't want to go in with you. She was just like pushing you in with the broom, like go, go. No, it wasn't a broom. It was a golf club, wasn't it? A tennis racket.
Yeah, fucking golf club, yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what you think is you being fearless, because like that's I'm doubting that very much.
Goose.
Very fearless, a wee bit.
I did see you come in, Callum, by the way.
Hey, Callum.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm sadly stressed out of my rocker.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
More leaks from upstairs and potentially in 2 different positions.
Oh,
that's not good
good
at all.
Goose, are you back? What was that? Oh,
When
What
did
the
we get
fuck?
a chipmunk?
what the fuck? There's something very wrong with your audio, mate.
Either that, or he's like got a
Breathing
fucking,
helium.
he sounds like a fucking Animal Crossing character.
No. You literally went, oh, look. No, that's just the same.
Almost sounds like a tape being reversed while it's playing.
Yeah.
Like,
Showing your age there, mate. You remember what that sounds like.
yeah. See, I'm not that young.
But that's even more terrifying because you are young. Like, even the young
Yeah.
people like feel old.
Yeah.
Is that any better, or is it still messed up?
Yay! You sound like a
Way
human being.
better. Yeah, you literally sounded like just.
It's for some reason it sounds like the compression
Yeah,
of
I
the
don't know.
audio had just got fucked up, and when you were speaking, it was compressing it all into 1/10 of a second for you speaking. So like me saying
Was
hello there was
chipmunk.
becoming.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, if you play me backwards, there's actually like satanic messages hidden in what I'm saying.
Could be.
Callum, you want to hop in the road with me? Did you want to recap? Does everyone remember what happened, where they were last time?
Vaguely. I mean, we didn't really do too much, but I remember finding the body, and then some other characters kind of knew more about it than I did, but
Yeah, so it was still, I mean, it is still early on the Saturday morning, cold morning in January, I think January 7th. Usually going down, 2 of you were getting served soup and stuff, 1 of you was serving the soup. Rocky came down looking for his wife, and the body was discovered, and you just went down to the beach, and you found the body. 1 of you just went to get a cop came down. Some of the people identified or recognised who it was based on something he found in his pockets. But then that piece of information was taken out of the pocket, so presumably, well, the cops were relying on people telling them who they thought it was. And then 2 of you went to the body's house where he was living with other guys. They came down the shore, Yous rooted around in their cabin while they left you there unattended and found a scrap of paper. Meanwhile, Greta, I can't remember where Greta went to at that point, but Rocky went off to look. Gerta went off to look for. What did Gerta go off to look for? Because you got the cop, he came down, and then you went back, and the guy with the truck and your Emil were going to take care of putting everything away. But did you go with Rocky at that point?
Yeah, I think did Gerta and Rocky go to the police station?
They were talking about going to the police station, yeah.
Yeah, that
at the
seems
very least,
right.
yeah. At the very least, I think Gerta like offered to go to the police station for Rocky, but yeah, I don't think we actually got to that point yet.
And Eric and Paul, you guys had just left the little shack where you found the scrap of paper. I don't know if you decided where you were going to go after that point.
Yeah, I think I got the note of the note being Hospital Ward 14, 9 p.m. But you know what we would be doing between now and that time, I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, this has all happened probably within the space of no more than half an hour. So we're still at that point early on Saturday morning. Yeah, so we've got Eric and Paul in one sort of situation together, and I guess you guys are like following up on this, or you know, trying to secure the rest of your meals for today or something. Well, Rocky and Gerta, I guess you guys go to the police station or wherever else you decide you want to go.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Okay, well, I decided to go to the police station. So, because I'm going to report about Angela, and also, you know, there have been a few people that went missing.
Are you going with Rocky, or are you just going to make your way there yourself?
I'm just gonna Rocky's gonna be not that far away. He's not gonna be outside, but he's gonna be kind of you know, a wee bit of a distance away. You know, not to be too obvious.
Yeah, I'm following, but I'm not going into the police station to make the report myself. I'll let Gerta do that for me.
So we established Rocky had a car. Are you going to be driving the two of you down to the police station? The 76th precinct is the one for Red Hook in Brooklyn. It's not that far away from where you are.
I mean, I feel like I'd offer just to be polite, but
I mean, it's several blocks away. Saturday morning might be, you know, fairly busy streetwise.
yeah, Rocky would offer to drive Gerta because you know at this stage she's his best lead, so. And also, it's just polite.
I think I can just drag your character to the police station. What about Eric and Paul? What do you want to do?
Should we be trying to look for work for today? I mean, I guess would it be like a labor exchange that we'd go to and see who gets picked out, or I don't know how that would work.
Oh yeah, so you end up like with big massive lines of men waiting for rations and bread and stuff like that, and similarly looking for work. There will be places at the docks you can go looking for labourers. There's probably like pick-up points that some people just drive by with a truck and just, you know, go you, and you, and it'll take you off for a construction job or something like that. And then there'll be more organised things. I think there was the Civil Conscription Service or something like that it was called, and it was a government initiative to try and get people, you know, temporary work shifts here and there, depending on their skill set. But obviously, I mean, I think with you being a ship captain, weren't you? You're probably, or an officer at least, it's probably just like manual labour stuff you're looking for because there's not a particular skill set or craft or trade that you could do.
Yeah, you'd probably be quite limited in what I could do like on land. So yeah, probably just be heading off to the labor exchange and looking for like anybody that's looking for labor for the day, I guess. Yeah.
So are you and Paul agreeing between you then that you're not going to do anything more about this just now?
I don't think we can afford to.
Yeah. I'm guessing we're probably have quite limited means at the moment, so we probably need to like prioritize where we're going to get our next meals from.
Okay, so you're going to go off and look for work for the day. What about you, Paul?
I think Paul would probably have brought Agnes up to speed on the goings on. And he'd probably have had to join Eric in regards to trying to find work. I mean, he's got kids to look after.
Okay, so you like nip home, update your wife on what's happened, and then say, right, I'm off to try and find some work, put some bread on the table.
Pretty much, that seems to be the best thing that he'd do.
I was just trying to quickly look up like prices, so I'm going to have to figure this out. Yeah, so what kind of place then are you going to go for work? Are you just one of these kind of pickup points? Or are you going to go for the more sort of organised route?
Would Paul be more likely to have any kind of transferable skills? I mean, I don't know. Would there be anything in like mining that would lend itself to like construction or something? Maybe.
Well, I mean, you have to build the supports and stuff, so I imagine he's got some basic construction skills and abilities.
Yeah.
I knew the one location I hadn't made the scene for was going to end up coming up. Yeah, so you guys are going to go off and just basically join a line and put your name down like you do every day, and then hopefully somebody comes along that needs you for at least this shift, and if you're really lucky, maybe like work for the rest of the week. I'm trying to think. I don't know if Saturday would be more or less likely to be a day that they're kind of organising people for the work for the week ahead.
Yeah, I feel Sunday would be pretty dead, but maybe Saturday would still be busy.
Yeah, I think Saturday might be a good day that they would actually be looking for people for that. Quickly do this. I'll leave you guys there for a second. I'll go to Gerta and yeah, so Rocky, you and Gerta make your way down and arrive at the 76th precinct in a short amount of time. There's a small queue, maybe like 2 people sticking out the front door, of people who have gone in to the main central reception desk. Clearly there's a lot of people with like grievances to get resolved.
Just real quick, do I recognize any of them?
Well, I mean, they're probably not crooks that are going to the desk to report things and ask for things. So
No,
perhaps not.
Alright, yeah. Like I said, Rocky will kind of just stay relatively close by to Gerda, but like, you know, probably would stop at the door, basically. And let her go in.
Hopefully I won't be too long. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing this. I'll be out here for you just in case.
So you're just
Great.
going to stand outside, have a cigarette or something?
Yeah, definitely. Literally gonna do the whole like gangster stand, have a smoke, and just lean.
Which will definitely get you a couple of side eyes from some of the cops coming to and from the building.
Yeah, fair enough.
I kind of picture you like tossing up a coin and catching it a lot. That seems to be like the standard 1920s gangster thing.
No. I'm
Tuesdays.
casually flinging a knife around, you know. No. Just standing outside smoking. That's all I'm doing. Yeah, see, yeah.
Yeah, so Gerta, there's a couple of people in front of you. There's a very animated woman at the front of the queue, basically yelling at the sergeant behind the counter. He's a very red-faced man with a kind of not unkempt, but kind of scraggly and a little wildish-looking sort of beard and facial hair. Just like naturally, just sort of a bit messy, even though he's obviously not completely untidy. And he's just sitting there like red in the face, just like being berated to by this woman. Before eventually he loses his temper and then he starts yelling back at her at a tone that just makes everybody else in the queue go completely silent. As well as the people in the queue with you, there's a really decrepit looking old man sat on a bench just at the side of the office. And he's wearing, like most of the men in this kind of era, they're wearing this sort of brown suit, overall jacket, and he's got the fedora hat. And then he's got the telltale, like, little press pass ticket thing tucked into the side of the top of his hat. But he looks, very sickly and frail. And he's just kind of sitting there quietly at the side, just watching everyone patiently while you're all kind of waiting to get into your turn. And after a time, it becomes your turn and you get to the front of the queue. And as soon as you step up to the sergeant, you can smell the whiskey on his breath.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Or miss, is it? How can I help you?
Yes, it's Miss. I have I would like to report a missing person. Her name is Angela. She works in the Salvation Army with us. We last saw our team last saw Angela at the bus stop on Thursday night.
All right, let's just hold on a second. And he like reaches in his pocket, pulls out a little notepad. So yeah, so he said the woman's name was Angela. Angela what?
I can't remember.
I feel like Rocky would have told her Angela Rickaby.
Angela Rickaby.
Angela Rickaby. Okay, and how old is it Miss or Mrs. Rickaby?
Mrs.
Okay, so how old is Mrs. Rickaby?
She's I think she's around her 20s.
Late 20s, early 20s?
I think mid to late 20s.
Yeah, mid to late 20s. Okay, and what's her physical appearance? What does she look like?
I just described the way she looks.
Rocky, what does she look like?
Yeah, I mean, probably like mid to late 20s, like Gerda said, but also like blonde hair, obviously done up real nice, especially in the picture. Probably like she could almost pass for like a model or an actress.
Okay, and
but
does
obviously not.
Sorry, does Gerta have the picture of her as well?
Yeah, I show a picture of her, a ID photo, as in like a paper one.
Well, her husband had a picture of her. That's the picture you'd have.
Yeah, I feel
fine.
I feel like Rocky would have passed her the photo at least.
Right. Okay. So he's
probably
like,
reluctantly, but
Yeah. So he's like, slides picture is like, okay, attractive looking woman. All right. And you said you know her how?
I work with her at the Salvation Army. Myself and my colleague Emil, we saw her at the bus station, and then we went the other way because we don't get the bus.
All right.
So...
Well, hold on a second there, miss. Okay. So what's your name?
My name is Gerta Nordstrom.
Gerta Nordstrom. Okay, Miss Nordstrom. And your friend Emil, was it? What's her name?
Emil Carlson.
Emil Carlson. And you work together at the Salvation Army, okay. And I'm assuming that's in the Salvation Army down here in Red Hook, yes?
Yes.
Very well. Okay, and you said it's a Mrs. Rickaby missing. What about her husband? Where is he in all this?
Her husband was looking for her to see if she was in work. I think he was going to go to the police station later, but
It closes his little notebook at this point. Alright, miss. Well, my advice to you would be to ask around friends and family if they've seen her. You know, more often than not, these missing persons turn up in a short time. I'd speak to her husband, and if her husband is concerned about her disappearance, he should come down here in person to file a report.
yes, but it's a wee bit worrying because we've had a couple of people that have disappeared that have, that come to the Salvation Army for food. Mirta Jakob, she's disappeared. We haven't seen her in a while.
Are these vagrants you're referring to, the missing persons?
These are yes, these are she was she was Dutch. She just moved here.
All right, miss. Well, if these missing persons have been reported, I'm sure our officers are working hard to resolve them as soon as possible, in amongst
It's
all the other
yes,
crime in the city.
yes, I understand, but like I'm in my early 20s, sir, and women missing that are in their 20s is quite I'm quite apprehensive of this, and it's quite worrying. I'm not a married woman, so
He seems to take this the wrong way and makes a show of his wedding ring on his hand by placing it on the table, like his hand down the table in front of you. Well, yes, miss. I mean, I'm flattered and all, but as a married man, of course, I can't, take up these sort of propositions.
excuse me, you misunderstood me. I'm not talking about having someone. I'm just saying I'm worried as a woman. I work for the general public, and when you see people like Mirta and Angela going missing, it worries the women in the town. So
Yes, well, I think the best thing you can do then, miss, is to just keep a man around to escort you when you're going to and from your business, and to not stray outside after dark.
can you maybe make us up some flyers for I can get you a picture of the Mirta girl and others, and also for Angela as well.
I'm afraid we don't do that here, miss. No, if you want to put up posters or something yourself, you'd have to go see a printers about that. We're not in the business of doing that here.
What will you be doing?
So we're doing everything we can, miss. Next, please.
I'm not finished. What will you be doing?
There's a process, miss, to be followed. Have what's her name? Mrs. Rickaby, have her husband come down here and file a proper report so we can get the details in full, and we'll take it from there, okay? Thank you very much.
Should I contact you in the next day or two?
If you must, miss, yes.
Yes, I think I will.
As you leave the police station, the old man, the frail-looking gentleman on the bench just kind of like watches you leave the building or walk out the front door.
Hello, Rickaby.
Yeah,
Mr. Rickaby?
Yeah, Rocky will quickly stamp out his cigarette and just so what'd they say?
They asked for you to come in. He was very rude, the police officer, but they all are. So he said that he will do something, but he just didn't seem like he would do anything. So
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's kind of why it wasn't exactly my first place to go to. Thanks for trying anyways.
oh, you're welcome.
Anywhere you need to go, or I can at least drive you
Could you drive me back to the Salvation Army, please?
Yeah, sure. Least I can do.
So I guess you two get in the car and go down the road.
Yeah.
Paul and Eric, yous are hanging around for maybe about an hour, hour and a half. Before the foreman at the front shouts your names out.
Woohoo!
Paul Cummings and I've got Eric Lundgren, yeah?
Yep.
So yeah, those are your names. You come to the front of the crew, in front of them, and you identify yourselves. He just jerks a thumb at the truck behind him. It's like construction work, one shift today, this afternoon. On you go.
Well, we'll just pile on in.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, you and like maybe 8 other guys are like shoved on board, and then the truck just like takes off, and it only goes a few blocks, and then it turns into one of the docks, disused like factory buildings. Did I put you there yet? No, I did not. Can you both see that scene?
Yep.
Looks like a Russian factory.
Yes. So it's like this shell of it was a factory. There's like a long warehouse building at the side that's just like blank empty, just the brickwork outside. You can see the parts where engines and motorworks, generators, and the assembly for the factory itself was there one time, but that's like since been removed mostly. And now it's just like piles of scrap lying in the corners and out in the courtyard. And they want you guys to like haul all the scrap out of the buildings, bring it out into the courtyard, and then start piling it into vans, and it's going to be taken away, reused elsewhere. The other men just like get stuck in, start setting about it, organise themselves into pairs, and just start helping each other. So like, lift up the heavier pieces and bring it out and start stacking up.
Yeah, I guess we would probably stick together and then just make a start.
I imagine like we probably would have like a bit of rapport and we're sort of joking as we're working kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the building you two walk into is a bit similar to this one in the picture, and there's these big, spots where the machinery used to sit, and there's large metal grates kind of like haphazardly lying across a few of them still. And you start working your way through the scrap there until you've got to like move one of these big massive grates, and it's rusted in place there, and it's going to take a bit of effort.
I need to be right back. I'm sorry.
Sure. Should have another picture here for this as well. So Gerta and Rocky, when you leave, you're going to drop her off. Rocky, do you do anything, say anything?
I mean, I probably would, after dropping off Gerda, I'd probably try to. I think I would probably still try to like wander about the Tin City and just kind of like, again, try to waving the picture around and be like, has anybody seen her? Yada yada yada. Just probably fruitless, but at this stage, like, what else am I supposed to do? Because I really don't think going to the police station and filing an official report is gonna do much, or probably be the smartest idea for one of my profession. But
And Gerta, if he's dropping you back off at the Salvation Army itself, what are you doing?
I'm just giving out food again, and I go to speak to Emil. That's probably the main thing, Emil and Oscar.
So I imagine they just kind of like pack up and restock, and then you just go to one of the different shanty towns because there's a whole bunch of them. There's a few of them in Brooklyn even, and go off and do the rest of the morning's work over there. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, and just like tell about the station and plans for the evening.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the evening with Emil?
I think Emil and Oscar were going out for dinner, so we've saved up some money so that we can go to like a nice restaurant. So
All right, sure. So Eric, I mean, imagine you and Paul are doing something, and Paul has to like run off to the toilet for a second, use the bathroom, take a piss in the corner,
Seems fair. Yeah.
and you're left standing alone in this desolate, empty warehouse. And then you can hear what sounds like the sound of like an anguished animal within one of these sort of wells that the machinery was sitting in.
Can I see anything by looking down into it?
Yeah, I mean they're maybe like 15-20 feet deep. They've got like a little ladder at the side underneath the grate. The lighting here is not great, but you can just about make out. It looks like a cat or something down at the bottom.
How sturdy does the ladder seem? I mean, is it like reasonably solid, or is it just rusting away to nothing?
Yeah, I mean, you give it a good shake and it seems pretty firmly set in there. It's a bit rusted, but it looks, it's not old.
Well, if it seems like reasonably steady, I'll probably try going down just quite cautiously.
Yeah, so you, one step at a time, very carefully make your way down, and you just stand in the bottom of this hole. The ground below is like brick and concrete. It's damp and it smells musty down here. Kind of sort of like metal bits and pieces sort of scattered around the edge that have just been like dropped down. And one of these larger pieces seem to have like caught this cat underneath it.
Can I shift the piece of metal that's trapping the cat?
You grab a piece of metal and it's pretty heavy, and you need to grab it with both hands and give it a good heave to lift it up. And as soon as you do, you can see that one of the cat's hind legs is just like mangled underneath it. And the thing's just like meeping and yowling with pain.
Think. Do I have anything? Well, do I have anything on me, like a cloth or anything that I could use to like wrap the cat with, or?
Maybe I have like a handkerchief. I think that'd be about it.
Yeah, I'd try and like use the handkerchief to kind of like support the cat a little bit and try and pick it up to move it if it's not just going to be completely going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can move it, and then it like yowls and hisses with pain as soon as you like try and move it. The leg is like practically just like hanging off by sinew.
Jeez. Yeah, if I can carry it up like reasonably. I mean, yeah, geez, this is going to be difficult. Can I like try and support its leg as best I can with like the handkerchief and try and carry it back up into the main part of the warehouse?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you're kind of like gathering up and thinking about the way to transport it best, and like, I mean, you're not a vet, but the animal looks pretty far gone at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like, would it be possible to take it back up topside and like give it something to eat just before it, packs off? At least try and give it a few moments of happiness before it goes.
Yeah, I guess you could try and do that. You try and do your best taking up the ladder, laying it out, and the thing is just like, it's definitely on its last legs. It might be in the midst of like heart failure at this point, and it's only a few moments more before it just like gives up and dies.
Yeah, it's a shame, but I guess I tried to do what I could for it. So yeah, maybe like if there's anything that I can use to like dig with, then maybe like cover it in the handkerchief and then just try and like bury it outside.
Yeah, I mean, you start scouring the other pits. You go to the far end of the factory and look at like what used to be like an old storeroom. And then in the other storeroom, there's like this big sort of tarp sheet in one corner that's like on top of presumably some sort of boxes or belongings, something like. There's like a visible kind of like large lump underneath the tarp.
Can I shift the tarp to see what it is?
Yeah, you grab the tarp and you pull it back, and you're immediately hit by the smell of like rotting flesh and a body in advanced stage of decomposition, wretched and dried out and flaky and almost bark-like substance of skin, not much unlike the one you found this morning, is in the corner of the room.
Jesus, that took a turn. Yeah, I would probably go and look for, assuming that I can't find Paul yet at this point, I would probably go and tell the foreman that, there's a body in here.
Is the discovery of the body disturbing for you at all?
I think it would bother me a bit, but having seen the other one this morning, I think I would be slightly numb to it just from like repeating the experience.
Sure, so you're like, oh shit, I already got through this today.
Yeah, how does the same thing happen to the same guy twice and so on?
Yes, so as you're heading out to go find the foreman, Paul comes back in from the bathroom.
Paul, you're not going to believe this. There's another body in the shed behind us.
Is he actually back? I just assumed he was.
I don't think so.
Alright, so you don't pass Paul. You go in, you get the foreman, and the foreman just like spits and curses and like stubs out his smoke that he's been smoking. And he's like, right, just where did you find it? Show me.
Yeah, I'll bring the foreman back to where the body was and point to the thing under the tarp.
Oh, Jesus, that's been lying there a while. The stench. All right, wrap it up in that tarp and throw it in the harbour. I've not got time to stop today for this.
Okay, I guess. Sure. Should we try and are we missing any guys? Should we try and see who it was or anything?
No, look, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for the boiler, the cops, all the rest of it. Just wrap it up, dump it in the water, and pretend you never found it.
I mean, being a man of the times, I guess I would understand that that's probably the best response I'm going to get in the circumstances. So I will, I'll put the tarp back over the body as best I can and try and have a look to see if there's any identifying marks about it, anything I can recognize.
Okay, you got any points in investigation that are applicable?
Just a second, I will check my character sheet. Probably nothing that's applicable here. I mean, I have document analysis, cryptography, and surveillance, but I don't suppose that's going to be useful for.
Do you have a trait that applies?
Oh well, I have intuition as an interpersonal skill actually, but I don't think anything that I would.
I'll let you use intuition. Yeah, I'll let you use intuition. Do you have a? You don't have another trait though.
Not one that's relevant here. I don't think.
Okay, so 1 dice, unless you want to take stress to take another dice, or to risk taking stress.
I'll just stick with the one for now, I guess.
Yes, there is easily found in the trouser pocket of the body is a wallet. There's a couple of dollars in there, which is probably heavily appreciated on your part.
Yeah, sad but true. Don't care for the circumstances, but I'll take it.
And then there is a card, employee card for a hotel, the Hotel Bossart.
Sorry, was that boss art?
Bossart. Bossart? How would you pronounce it?
Boss art. Got it.
Employee card, and the name is Mr. John J. Carroll, which I will also paste in. I mean, whoever dumped the body here, you're guessing they couldn't have cared much about anybody discovering the identification, even though they've taken the time to hide it in a dark corner here.
Yeah, I mean, is there any obvious sign of the body having died in a violent manner or anything like that?
The rate of sort of desiccation, again, it's like the one before. It looks kind of odd. It's obviously been lying here. It's rotten. The eyeballs are shrunken in like little prunes, so there's nothing there. But it's been it's been mummified almost, shrunk, dried out, and it's not putrefied in the way that most corpses kind of do. But you can, if you're while you're searching through the pockets and stuff like that, and you're maybe padding the chest, you can feel there's a large cavity in the lower part of the abdomen, the belly kind of area. Do you want to peel back the clothes and look?
Again, not thrilled at the prospect, but I feel like I probably ought to, or I'll regret having, or this will stick with me. Not knowing will bother me more, I think.
Okay, can you roll 1 dice for me?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have 1 stress at the moment, I believe, so your stress will not increase. Yes, I mean, I guess you've got a strong stomach. You peel back the clothes, and the skin, it just flakes off and peels off as a layer of bark as you peel back the clothing. And you can see that the stomach has been completely slit, cut open, and pulled apart very widely. Wide enough that you could easily insert your hand into the sort of belly area. And maybe, I mean, it's hard to tell when it's so dried up and desiccated, but they might have just shriveled away to nothing and dust inside, but there doesn't appear to be any internal organs to the corpse.
I mean, I imagine I've seen some probably pretty rough things at sea, but yeah, this one kind of takes the cake. Yeah, I think if there's nothing else to be seen, I'll just quickly cover up the body. I don't want to spend undue time staring at that.
Sure. Are you pocketing a couple of dollars?
Yeah, I'll take the money and the card with the details of the hotel on it.
Sure. Yeah, the employee ID. Take it. Calm's not back here still. No? Okay. Sure. So you've got it wrapped up in tarp. You're just gonna like roll it over so it's like properly wrapped in it, and then try to drag it out to the harbour.
Yeah, if I can get it close to the water, I'll maybe like, I don't know I don't know if there'd be like something that, veteran seafarers would say if they're like having to bury one of their own, like a prayer for a fellow shipmate that you would say in this kind of situation. But I think if I had something like that, I would say that before I like push the body into the water or anything.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be the case, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you definitely know a prayer or some sort of salute thing that you would do, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to just shove the guy into the water completely unceremoniously. I think that would just be, that would bother me too much.
Yeah, so you add a little bit of dignity to the act, and then the body, like, slops over the side and splashes into the water. But you didn't put anything in it to sink it, so it just sort of floats there.
Oh, damn.
You just see a small, like, fishing vessel sailing past you, and a couple of the seamen kind of look over the edge of what you're doing.
Yeah, this is a kind of not the kind of awkward situation I was expecting today. Yeah,
One of them kind of, like, raises up one hand as, like, a wave.
just be like, yeah, hi guys.
Yeah, you just kind of nervously wave back and go back into the building.
Yeah, just act natural.
I guess we'll wait for Cam to get back for the other one. I need to check that I did the stress right. I didn't have it backwards there. Homebrew, Mythos. Should see in the character sheet, right? Equals to or exceeds your stress. Oh, so your stress does go up to 2. So if you have 1, it's always going to go up.
Right, I'll mark that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to know that. Maybe just even the stress of having to dump a body is the thing that kind of bumps you up.
Yeah, I think I would be made quite uncomfortable by that.
Yeah, pretty much. So Rocky, you go back to flashing the photo around, going up and down the space of Tin City.
Yeah.
And amongst the guys that are homeless there, and they do their best to look well presented, but there's a ruggedness about them, a kind of worn look to their clothing, and most of all in their faces as you're trying to like inquire about this other person. And they're all standing around like little campfires and stoves, chatting and rolling dice and playing cards and such. And then a man comes up to you, very well dressed, sort of maybe in his mid-50s, with a pair of glasses, balding, grey hair around the edges of his head. And he comes up, "Excuse me, sir, I don't mean to bother you, but I'm looking for my wife. Her name is Nancy. I don't suppose you've seen her at all," when he holds up a small photograph.
I'm gonna take a wild guess and say I have not seen the woman in the photo.
So you might. Do you know any of your wife's friends or people that she works with?
I don't think so. I don't think I would. I think. I think if anything, Rocky was sort of a just you if you go out with your friends, honey, do whatever you want, makes you happy. If anything, that also kind of makes it easier for me to do the my shadier business.
Okay, so you're a little uncaring in that regard. You don't take that much of an interest.
Yeah, I care about Angela. Everybody else can, whatever.
I mean, do you recognise the name Nancy? It was mentioned before in relation to Angela.
like in game or like
In-game,
because I
in-game.
don't remember the okay. Because I don't remember,
Oh,
but if Rocky remembers,
I
then
mean,
sure.
I would say, I mean, if you don't remember, I don't think he remembers.
Okay, fair enough then. It might ring a bell, but I really don't remember.
So it's quite a petite, fairly attractive looking woman. She's definitely younger than this guy in the photograph, although it might be an older photograph. She has sort of like light coloured hair with sort of curls at the end of it. But you don't, and you know, you don't recognise her looking at the photograph right away. And he has the same kind of expression in his face as you imagine you have just now. That kind of like panic starting to set in at just not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, I think the moment that I look at the photo, and then like I think I just immediately look at his face, and I just have that flash of recognition of like, oh geez, that's, you know, that fear, that panic. Is that really what I, you know, like that's surely what I look like? And then it kind of turns into this downward spiral of like, oh fuck, what's going on here? Like this isn't right. I'm supposed to be in control of just everything, and this is just terrible, and I'm freaking out for it. But I think Rocky, you know, just goes like, I haven't seen her at all. Actually, I'm here for kind of the same reason, and I'll show him Angela, and like I haven't seen her. Has Nancy gone missing around here?
Yes, she was working at the medical tent as part of the Brooklyn Hospital's outreach. I haven't seen her since Thursday night. She never came home.
That was the same night that Angela went missing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. No. Rocky kind of like just swears, and it's getting a little too much for him, so he'll pluck another cigarette, and it's like Angela was also working around here and didn't come home Thursday.
So your wife was working here at the medical tent, and he points over towards a large canvas tent that's been set up at the edge of the tin city.
Well, not the medical tent, but she was helping out the Salvation Army. Like, have you already talked to them at the medical tent?
Yes, they saw her leave her when they were packing up on the Thursday night, and she left to get a bus home. She was walking with a friend, they said, but I don't know what her name was.
Okay. Sensing a threat here. Yeah, this is too many coincidences. Oh my gosh, I really don't know.
She's never been away like this before. It's so out of character for her. I've been to the police and filed a report and all, but damn it, they just don't do anything.
Just for the sake of like covering all of Rocky's bases, like, is this guy like for real telling the truth, or am I projecting my own genuine panic on a guy that might be just lying or something, or just
Okay, so
I'm a
do
bit
you
of
have
a paranoid guy.
Yeah, do you have an interpersonal skill that applies?
I do have deception, but I also have intuition as well.
Okay, so you can pick one of them, and you have a trait.
Clever, strong will. That's pretty much it. Quick.
I would say understanding would be more the one to go for here.
Yeah.
So
no,
okay, so you can have one
understand.
dice, and if you want to risk stress, well, I mean, you almost guaranteed to get stress if you use stress dice.
yeah, this is kind of a weird thing. And
You can choose to add that after the roll, though, to re-roll with it anyway.
Okay, so it's just one dice without it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he seems genuine. You could be a great liar or running some sort of con right now that you're not familiar with, some sort of grift. And maybe you're a little cautious about being taken in too much by him, but I mean, he seems genuine enough.
Yeah. That's, I'm not sure if that's really comforting or not. I think I'd actually be a little bit happier if it was some sort of a con. Yeah, no, that's too much of a coincidence. I'm not sure what to say to this guy. Other than like, yeah, no, same thing happened to, my wife Angela. She never, she always at least tells me where she's going and how long she's gonna be. Like, for her to just not show up, that's completely not like her.
So he offers his hand and says, my name's Carver, Howard Carver. The woman missing is my wife Nancy.
Yeah, I'll just straight up say, yeah, I'm Rourke Rickaby. My wife Angela is missing.
He shakes your hand quite aggressively.
Yeah.
I would say we would should work together perhaps and help find them, but I can't imagine what we can really do. We're probably better off taking our separate paths, and maybe if we find any information about each other's missing partners, we could share it.
Yeah, absolutely. That yeah, I don't know if we like, because yeah, obviously mobile phones weren't a thing, so
No, so he would exchange addresses. So he gives you his address, which is in Carroll Gardens, which is a few blocks north. It's a little more upmarket, well, quite a lot more upmarket than down here in Red Hook.
right. Like compared to where I live, is it more or less the same, or?
I mean, you had a bit of money, so you're in quite a nice neighbourhood, yeah. But he's definitely like on the posh end of things, and you can tell by his attire and the way he's dressed and everything that he's not a man hunting for cash.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll of course give him my address, and just like, if you find out anything, I'll be sure to let you know, and let me know if anything.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Rourke. I really hope you do find your wife.
Yeah, you as well. And just good luck and stay safe out there, will you?
Yeah, he kind of like goes in one direction, stops and looks around as if he's just like confused and dazed, and goes off in another direction.
Yeah, I'm probably just as dazed, but I've got a better idea of where I'm gonna go, and I'm just gonna head over to the medical tent, because if anything, maybe. I definitely want to confirm if Nancy and Angela were friends, and that's who they were. Like, the two stories intersect there.
Okay, so Greta, you are at a different Hooverville, they were called, Shantytown, and it's on the upper east side of Brooklyn. I can't remember the park's name right now, but there's a park there, and basically it's the same thing. It's a much smaller shantytown. There's a more varied collection of genders and ethnicities here compared to down at Tin City, which is a little more homogenous. So there's people from all over just kind of collected here, and there's maybe 40 or so people that are kind of regularly camped out here in this situation. And you set up your little Salvation Army stop and start doing what you do, dishing out blankets and cups of tea and soup and all the rest of it, and bread. You're there for a couple of hours doing this, and you're kind of like getting to the end of, dishing things out and talking to people and just, trying to make your presence felt. When you notice that there's a young man, can't be more than 20 years old, and he's a little dishevelled looking, which isn't out of place here. Well, maybe it is out of place, because most people kind of do what they can to look neat. He's kind of dishevelled looking, like his shirt's not tucked in properly. One of his shoes is missing, and he's just kind of like wandering almost aimlessly, like muttering to himself at the side of the park. You need push button, huh?
Can you, Emil? Can you look, take over the stall for me? I just need to go and check on this man.
No, it's just, yep, no problem. And as you approach him,
Hello?
he is clearly kind of like just like muttering to himself.
Hello, are you okay?
Oh no, they're going to take it. They're going to come for me. They're going to take it. They're going to come for me. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Come with me and we'll get you a hot cup of tea and a sandwich. Come on. I see that your shoes, what size are you? Come with me and we'll go and get you a hot cup of tea and a sandwich and some shoes and some clothes. Where do you stay?
Okay,
Mister?
are you like reaching out to gently like put your arm on his arm or something like that when you do that?
Yeah.
He seems fine up until the moment you make physical contact, and then he like turns in a panic and stumbles and falls over backwards on the ground. Like, you're not taking it, I don't want it. You're not taking it, I don't want it.
It's okay. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Come with me. Come with me. Come.
Like, no, I don't
come
want it,
with
I don't
me.
want it, I don't want it. And he curls up in a ball.
I sort of nod for Oscar to come, to come and help me out.
Sure. Oscar, being the big guy that he is, kind of comes running over and he's like, what's the problem? What's happened?
Yeah, I think he's got some health issues. Can you make sure that he gets like a cup of coffee and a sandwich, and can we go over to the medical tent and see if he's the people over there, guide him over there and then speak to the people over there.
So there's not a medical tent at this shanty town at this point in the day today.
Oh, Oscar, I didn't realize that it wasn't on today. Well, I think we should keep him under our observation. So let's bring him, over to us and keep an eye on him, and then we can take him to a shelter, for someone to, to watch him.
So Oscar's like gently approaching him, talking softly as he crouches down beside him. He's not trying to like grab him or touch him with it, he's just like trying to talk to him first of all to calm him down. And the man is clearly distressed and upset, and he's almost like crying, and he's just like burrowing his face into his hands and covering himself up with his sleeve and his jacket. Occasionally like kicking out with his feet until he kicks off his second shoe.
I'd run and get like the flask of tea. People always feel better with a cup of tea.
Yeah, you come over to tea and he's like, no, I don't want any, I don't want any. You're not taking it, I don't want it. Oscar just kind of looks at you and shrugs and he's like, Greta, I mean, unless I like force him to come with us, I don't think he's... I mean, we can stay here until he calms down a little bit, but, we're on a schedule here.
I think Gerta's a bit like the sort of type that she really feels for people, and because of the missing persons at the moment, she feels like obligated that we should take this man with us. So, no, I think we should take him with us. Are you able to maybe lift him up, and we can get him like a sandwich and stuff like that, just kind of like try and calm him down.
So he sighs and he looks back and forth and weighs up the situation for a second. He's like, okay, you stay with him, keep talking to him, I'll go help pack everything up, and then once we're ready we'll see if we can take him with us.
I just start saying, where's your family?
I believe you have understanding as a trait, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have an applicable interpersonal skill?
I have understanding and charismatic. And I'm learned as well, learned.
What other
so-
interpersonal skills do you have?
And I've got intuition and negotiation and document analysis, research, textual analysis.
I don't need
occult.
investigation ones.
But
Yeah,
the
okay, I
occult
think
as well.
maybe your maybe negotiation would kind of apply. Okay, so you can have 2 dice to roll.
Okay.
And you're just trying to coax like basic information out of him, calm him down, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Daniel. Daniel's my name.
Okay, that's great. Daniel, my name's Gerta. I'm here to help you. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm here just to help you.
Sort almost as if he's kind of like waking from a dream. He just, he's rubbing his eyes and looking around, kind of confused and dazed, and he sits up properly and pulls his knees into his chest. I'm sorry. I don't know where I am.
You're in Hooperville. Come with me, and we'll go and get a coffee and a sandwich together. Do you want to come with me? And we'll go. And I see you've got no shoes. I'm like I said, I'm Gerta. I work for Salvation Army, and we can get you some shoes. Because it mustn't be that comfortable, walking with one shoe. So, I think you should come along with me.
So he seems to like calm down a good bit and so, okay, yeah, coffee sounds good. I'm cold. And, as you're like helping him get up, he's kind of reluctant to touch you, but then he kind of needs a steady hand to get back on his feet. And you kind of noticed he's got a lot of dried blood around his ear.
Have you been hurt? Daniel?
That seems to kind of trigger the panic in him again. Heart pain. Yes, I didn't want it. And he like pushes you away and sort of like runs off into the park.
I go after him.
Yeah, you'll spend the next while sort of chasing them, calming them down, and trying to coax them up, and eventually you'll be able to get them up to the Salvation Army truck. Oscar's kind of like finishing putting everything away, and you sit and just like give the guy a sandwich and a cup of coffee and wrap a blanket over him. He actually lets you like touch him long enough to put a blanket over him.
Get him some shoes as well.
Yeah, and as he's once he gets the coffee and sandwich in him, he seems to sort of just like go into a, not quite catatonic, but I mean, he's just sort of blanked out and just like sitting in a sort of comfort zone and just numb, but calm at least.
I think, Oscar, can I leave it up to you to like take him to like a shelter? Like he seems, or he needs a bit of medical help as well. So maybe I would say maybe take him to the shelter because they've got medical staff there. So
yeah, I'll swing back around Red Hook and I'll take him to the. I think they've still got their medical tent up there just now. I'll drop him off there. They should have some nurses and a doctor on by, I think.
Yeah, that would be great. But be gentle, he's very fragile and something terrible must have happened to him because, the way he was talking and his ear, there's dry blood there, so
Sure.
been through an ordeal.
Yeah, he's probably had a knock to the head or something. Yeah, I'll take care of him, Gertrude, don't worry.
Okay. Thanks, Oscar.
Is Callum back? Or is he just gone? I think he might just be gone.
Oh no.
All right, Rocky. So you're going to make your way to medical tent because it won't take you long to do that. It'll take a couple of minutes. Outside there's a big, long, sort of double-sized white canvas structure that's been set up. There's a couple of stretchers being put out. There's a table. There's a couple of women who are very obviously nurses because they've got the classic sort of nurse uniform on from the time period. And there's a couple of orderlies there as well. They're just kind of acting like security guards almost.
Is there any patients currently that I can see, or?
Oh yeah, I mean there's going to be a couple of women with children there. They're giving sort of like cough syrup to the children. They're giving them blankets. They've got like an old guy there who's got some really bad shakes, and they're trying to get some liquid in him, and they're talking to him, taking blood pressure or something like that.
Yeah, I'll try not to be like obtrusive, but I'll if there's like a nurse that seems to be like none too busy, I'll try to like grab her attention, just be like, excuse me, and I'll try to again probably parrot what Mr. Carver had probably just finished doing, and just be like, hey, I'm looking for my missing wife, show her the picture, and
Yeah, so it's a.
and then I'll add to that, like, and like, do you know if Nancy was also with this woman, or?
Okay, yeah, so it's a small young woman with a kind face, and again she's got like brown hair and it's kind of curled around the bottom, but she's got it tied back. She's it says Nurse Hemming on her little tag that she's got. Oh yes, yeah, Mr. Carver was just here about his wife. That's terrible, man. She's a lovely woman. She's always helping out. Angela, yes, I've spoken to Angela before. Yeah, I think her and Nancy were quite good friends.
Okay, do you know if they took the same bus?
I don't know if they took the same trolley car, but on the nights you were talking about on Thursday, I distinctly remember that Angela had came by and was sitting having a coffee before Nancy was finished. And I think the two of them left together to walk each other home, yeah.
Okay, so, like, was that was the last you saw both of them?
Well, yeah, I mean, I expected Nancy to turn up this morning for helping here. I think Angela works with another charity. But yeah, I didn't realise Angela was missing as well. Jeez.
Yeah.
Terrific. What did the police say? Are the police doing anything about it?
Yeah. No, I mean, they're saying they're gonna do their best, but I don't think that's really saying a whole lot.
You would think with two upstanding women like that, they would be taking more of an interest.
Yeah, you would think that, but I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to do anything I can to help, obviously. I mean, we shouldn't think the worst, I mean, there could be a couple of excuses or reasons, for them not appearing.
Yeah. It's just, is there anything at all about that night that you can remember? Like, maybe if you overheard something they might have been talking about? Just anything will help, honestly.
I mean, all I can really remember Thursday was it was very dark, it was very cold, there was a lot of wind. We were all really wrapped up and they were just in a hurry to get home. And I rode home with the doctor who was here that night. He's not here today, he just comes down once a week. But yeah, we packed up and there wasn't anything exceptional about the night. We didn't have any angry or abusive patients. Everything was quite, it was quite uneventful. I mean, I can't recall any particularly suspicious characters or unusual activity.
And you're absolutely certain that Nancy and Angela were just trying to get home and not like maybe stop somewhere before, or?
Oh no, I'm quite certain there. She distinctly said, because I inquired to make sure they weren't going to be standing around in the dark too long themselves, and she said no, they were going just along the street, and she points in that sort of eastward direction, along the street there to the trolley car stop in the corner. And I thought, well, there's a street light there, and it's just across the street. You know, that's just a quick journey home.
And just to confirm, well, like from that bus stop, like that's definitely like the way they would have gone to go home, or at least for Angela.
Yeah, I mean, you've been looking for a couple of days now, so I think you've already kind of confirmed her route that she would have taken, and that's certainly where you'd expect her to have gotten the trolley car from.
Okay.
Just then,
Right. Well,
a truck pulls up, and actually, is this going to work out time-wise? No, that's not going to work out time-wise. He'd get dropped off later. There's a man in his kind of like early 30s, and he comes in. He looks very drained and pale. His hair is all thinned. His eyes are that kind of just sort of dull, glazed look, and he kind of comes staggering into the tent, and he's just nurse. She's like, oh, excuse me a second, and Nurse Hemming leaves you, and she goes over to the man, and she like sits him down, starts asking him, you know, what's wrong, is he feeling sick, did he have an accident and such. So what do you want to do?
Actually, like, yeah, just looking at this gentleman, does he kind of remind me of the corpse that I had already seen this morning? Does he look more like, you know, like not quite that stage, like a potentially like earlier?
I mean, you could
Or
might,
does he just?
yeah, I mean, you might ask yourself that question, but he's very much alive. His skin looks kind of a bit dried out, flaky, but I mean, that's also not kind of unusual given the conditions here.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
mean, he might
That's
have
fair.
lice or something like that, you don't know.
Yeah. Plus, I'm not exactly a medical professional, so
Yeah,
I really
you're not a
just don't
doctor
know,
by
I
any
guess.
description. If you've got any skills of observation, you could give me a roll, though.
I've got surveillance. If that counts.
Let me see here. Surveillance is more like, you know, like watching an apartment, following people and stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be more like forensic or scene, I would think.
I do have scene analysis, but that's it.
Yeah, scene analysis would work, and you're clever as well, so give me 2 dice.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I mean, he looks obviously confused. You can hear him when he's speaking, and he sounds like he's sort of dazed. He's not quite sure what day it is. When she's asking him questions, he has trouble recalling his name. He definitely seems sort of weak. He kind of like struggles to hold something in his hand when she passes him like a cup of coffee. He has some like scratches and dried blood marks around his left ear, like around the ear hole itself.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily like, again, trying to stay out of everybody's way, but I'm also like trying to stay relatively close, just so that way I can maybe like overhear and just kind of watching this old man, like, I don't know, just something about it, just, you know, A, idle curiosity, and B, like, who knows what, you know, maybe there's some connection with, you know,
Yeah, so
God forbid Angela some, you know, just like connected with whatever is causing people to go missing.
sure. So the nurse is asking his name, and after a time, he remembers his name's Lawrence Whitaker. And she's like, "Okay, Lawrence, are you staying here?" And he's like, "Yes. I was staying in one of the shacks here. I have a tent with some men." And then she's like, "Okay, who are these men?" And he's like, "I can't remember the men." He's like, they didn't have a face." And he starts getting like agitated, and you can see like fear growing in his eyes. and what remains of the sort of colour in his pale face is definitely like drained from it, and he stumbles and he falls out of the chair that he's sat on onto the ground, and he's kind of startles himself and he looks around as if he doesn't quite remember where he is again. And the nurse has to spend a great deal of time sort of calming him down again before he'll talk.
I think, yeah, Rocky, like him saying like they didn't have a face, that immediately brings to mind, you know, I guess earlier in the day when they were talking about the faceless man, or again, Rocky doesn't say anything, but he definitely is now taking a bit of an interest in this. Like maybe this is a lead.
Yeah, so she spends some time trying to calm down, stuff like that, and then he just leaves sort of sitting there with a blanket around him. She's talking to the nurses, and he's like, I don't think he's right in the head. Is there anything we can do for him? And they're saying, like, there's very little we can do for everyone at this point in time. We just don't have, you know, the means right now. It's like, maybe if you can find out who he's staying with here in the camp, and then next week when the doctor comes in, the doctor can take a look at him. Because he's just like some of the others that the doctor's been looking at. So then they spend their time trying to find out, asking around who he's staying with, so that they do that and can try and follow up on him on Thursday when they come back. And about that time is when Oscar pulls up with the Salvation Army truck and drops off the other young man, Daniel.
Yeah, I think just like, you know, while after the nurses more or less kind of leave him, I think Rocky would risk kind of stepping a little closer and just like trying to be as gentle as possible, even though it's not exactly his strength. He'll just be like, you know, like, is there? He'll kind of show the picture of Angela as like, have you seen this woman?
Like turns, just lazily kind of turns if he's not busting in. He looks at the photograph. And he's like, and he falls backwards onto the ground again and kind of like scurries back, and he's like, they had no face, I didn't want it.
Oh man, yeah. Again, Rocky's trying not to cause a scene, but like,
yeah, I mean the him falling over and knocking over a table of stuff. The nurses turn around to see, what the hell are you doing? Did you push him?
No, I'm just trying. I just asking him if he saw this woman.
I don't think a man in his mental state is going to be any use to you, sir. Please don't do anything more to agitate him. It's taken us so long to get him calmed down already.
You're right. Sorry.
Well, I completely understand. You know, no one wants you to find your wife more than I do right now. Honestly, Angela's a fine woman from what I knew of her. Nancy as well. But this is not the way to go about it. A man such as him is, anything he tells you is not going to be reliable anyway.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You know, I'll pass the nurse like my address as well, and just like, you know, if you hear or see anything, please let me know.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, of course. My name's Charlotte Hemming. I'm a nurse at Cumbernauld Hospital. If you need me for anything at all, you can find me at my workplace there. I'm in there 5-6 days a week.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, and you know, good luck. Yeah, and I guess I think after that, Rocky would probably try to just kind of stare at the bus stop, but like he wouldn't like stay there and watch it or surveil it or anything like that. Just sort of try to figure out where the next step to go on is.
So Eric, after you have disposed of this body, you're there for the next few hours, probably 6-7 hours at least, maybe longer than that. But it's like well into the evening by the time you finish, and it's dark. temperatures dropping, and as much as you can call the place home, you're looking forward to getting back around the nice warm stove with a few dollars in your pocket. The guy, the foreman, sorry, is going to pay you $6 for your time.
Is that quite a decent wage for the time?
It's not great, but it's more than acceptable, yeah.
Cool. So what time of day is it? I'm just thinking about that note that mentioned the hostel award at 9 p.m. I mean, would it be wearing on for that, or is it just still a bit earlier?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a bit earlier. We're talking about like what, maybe 7 p.m. or something. You'll get back. Well, by the time we drop you off, maybe closer to 8. Yeah, so I mean, you get back to the tent city part, and they have the medical tent still up at this time. It's going to be there until they decide that they've just had enough and pack it in. But when you arrive there, the medical tent's still there, and they still have like 2 young-ish looking men wrapped up in blankets, sat down. The orderly is like standing very close to them. Or are you talking about going to the hospital itself?
Well, it was. I think the note was for the hospital itself, but
It said hospital ward 14, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will probably at least go for a closer look at what's going on at the medical tent, because, just generally, I guess the days in the camp are long, and you'd probably be looking for anything to take your mind off it, Any sense of any incident would probably be like of interest.
Yeah, so I mean, there's people coming up for coffee and stuff, but by this late in the evening, they're ran out of their supplies pretty much. They're looking to get packed up and head off. But they seem reluctant, you can overhear the nurses talking, and they're kind of reluctant to leave these 2 guys because they seem to be in a bad way. They've suffered some sort of trauma. But the orderly, he's like, look, we can't take them with us. The guys live here. They've got a tent to go to. That's as good as we can do for them just now, and we'll check up on them later.
Are they anyone that I recognize? I mean, would they be people that I know at all?
The one that they call Lawrence, who's like early 30s, he looks familiar. You've seen his face around, although you don't know him. Yeah, the other guy in the sort of 20s, the young looking one, you don't recognise him at all.
I think I'd probably go up to the tent, maybe like try and get a cup of coffee and offer to like help the guys get back to their place in the camp if they need a hand or anything.
Sure, and maybe they recognise you because they've seen you around here over the past few years as well. I'm afraid, yeah, we don't have any coffee left, but this man Lawrence, he's staying with a few men on the other side of the camp there. Perhaps you'd be kind enough to walk him over to them. We were waiting for one of them to come pick him up, but they haven't appeared.
Sure, I mean, I think we've got to stick together in these kind of times, so yeah, I'll try and give him a hand.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but he'd indicated this direction. She points over to like the far coastal side, on the west end of the sort of encampment, towards the old granary building. She sits down and she's like, Lawrence, and the man's a little more compos mentis by this point. Like, Eric here is a friend, he's going to take you back home, okay? And the guy just like shakes his head. He's like, okay, thank you.
Okay, Lawrence, we're going to try and help you get home, okay? We're going to take you back to your place in the camp. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, he seems quite frail and shaky. You notice that he's, but you can tell like his hairline in front of his face that he's not very old. You can tell he's early 30s. But aspects about him look very aged. The thinned hair, flaky kind of skin, all dried up looking. and a kind of wrinkling around the edges of his face, although it's not where it would naturally appear through a sort of natural aging process around the eyes and stuff. It's very much like around the joints of the bone in the jaw around his face.
Does he respond at all when he sees me? I mean, does he look like he kind of knows who I am at all, or is he just kind of staring into space?
No, he acknowledges that you're there. You know, he's like, Eric. He's like, right, you know, he doesn't know you, but he maybe recognises your face somewhat, and he stands up to go along with you. And he's like, yeah, that's great, thanks. I'm not sure. And he just starts talking as you're walking along. I don't know what happened. I was out the other night, and then next thing I know, it's the morning, and I'm walking along the beach.
You don't remember anything about how you got there?
No, I mean, I just went out for a smoke. I was late, and I had to go take a piss, and then went for a smoke. Maybe I fell and banged my head. I mean, I guess that might have been what happened.
How are you feeling? Are you look like you've been better. I mean, are you feeling okay? Or
Yeah, I was having like nightmares, I guess, like flashes of It kind of goes quiet for a minute, a bit longer than you kind of expect to do in a conversation. But yeah, I think I just need a good sleep.
you weren't missing anything when you woke up? You had all your possessions all right? Nobody tried to jump you or anything like that?
Oh, he searches his pocket, and he pulls out like rolling tobacco and papers. No, I think I have everything. Just kind of approach the edge of the camp, and it's pitch black now. The wind's really howling. There's like an old rickety fence, but most of it has been kind of salvaged to make shacks. There's just like a couple of posts sticking up now, and some loose rotten boards flapping about in the wind, and like a long ditch where the fence was dug into originally. And not for the first time today, Eric, you think you can see a body like curled up, wrapped up, and lying in the ditch.
Oh damn. That ain't good. Is it like really close to where I am? I mean, can I look more closely without leaving Lawrence alone? Or
So it's white clothing, which is kind of what stands out in the darkness. And it's kind of vaguely human in shape at the ditch. But yeah, I mean, you would have to like leave him for a second and slide down into the ditch to get a good look at it.
yeah, I think I'll stick with Lawrence for now. I can always come back and look again later. But yeah, I want to make sure that he gets back to his shack. Okay.
Yeah, you take him along, and his is less of a shack and more just like a lean-to with like a tent draped over one side of it, or tarp draped over it to make like a tent. And there's a single man sort of sat by a little fire that he's set up just at the edge of it. And he sees you go, and he stands up and he pulls out like a blade, a very, not like a razor blade or a flick knife, just like a kitchen knife. He pulls it out, points it, and he's like, "Who's that there?"
Hey, whoa! It's okay. I think this is Lawrence. Okay, I think he lives here. He's staying with you?
Lawrence? And he looks over. Yeah, I know him. Lawrence, where you been?
Lawrence.
He's like, "It's all right, Harold. I've just had an accident. That's all." Did he hurt you, Lawrence? Who is this guy?
I'm Eric. I stay over the other side of the camp. I'm just helping Lawrence back to his shack. He's been through something. I don't really know what. I found him at the medical tent.
The Harold guy said, "Oh, you're one of the Swedish boys." Yeah, okay, all right. I'm sorry. Come on, Larry, sit down, Jesus. Where have you been? I've been looking for you all day. The other boys are away looking for you right now. You sit him down and he gets him beside the fire and he kind of scuttles himself into what's probably usually like his spot allocated around the fire. Harold kind of like pulls out a tin cup, swishes it about and offers it up to you.
I think I'll take a sip. It would seem rude not to, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's a typical really strong, foul-smelling distilled alcohol that you're familiar with around here. And maybe you take a sip at it, hoping that you're not going to be blind in the morning.
Yeah, just a very small sip, I think.
And even that small sip causes you to kind of like cough a bit afterwards.
Yeah, that'll keep the cold out.
The guy kind of like thumps his chest a couple of times and then coughs. I don't have anything to offer you, I'm afraid. It's been slim pickings today.
No, it's okay. Just trying to help out. It's there seems to be. Did you hear about the body they found today? This is kind of. It seems like there's a lot of weird stuff going down around here lately. You heard anything else that's happening? Like, I don't know, it might be related to this.
The body here, 5 bodies there. It's not that usual. I mean, look at the way we're living down here. Hell, if I drink too much of this tonight, they'll find another body in the morning.
Even by the usual standards, this seems like a weird one, man. I mean, you guys watch out for yourselves tonight. I think something seems to be going down. There's something in the air.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Our buddies will be back soon, no doubt. And we're just going to turn in for the night.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think of that I'll just take my leave. It seems like they seem to be going to be safe for now, so I'll like casually walk back in the direction of where I thought I saw the body in the ditch.
As you're walking back, there's a dog that's kind of like down in the ditch, and you can hear it kind of like tearing at the clothing, the fabric that's down there.
Can I see if there's definitely something down there that the dog's tearing at? I mean, is there definitely a body, or am I just seeing weird stuff?
It definitely could be a body. It's a shame. It looks like a body is like curled up, almost fetal. Definitely like rags and stuff like all over it.
Like, how fierce does the dog seem? I mean, am I going to be like, have to deal with the dog? Should I go and try and get something to placate the dog so I can get a better look at this?
I mean, you're probably accustomed to the stray dogs that are hanging around here quite often. If they're hungry, they can be somewhat aggressive, but they're usually not so bad.
Okay, I'll shout I'll just shout to try and drive the dog off. Hey, leave it alone, or whatever.
Yeah, it barks a couple of times and sort of like retreats and circles round the way dogs do and sort of watches what you're doing, waiting for its opportunity again.
I'll take a closer look at the thing in the ditch. I'll probably regret it.
You slide down and, if this is a body, it's been really wrapped in all these like fabrics and just rags. Mostly sort of like pale white. Dirtied. It's too far up from the shore to have been like washed up recently.
Does it seem like it's been here for quite a while?
Possibly. Do you want to slide like right down into the ditch to get a good look at it?
That's a good question. I mean, like, how easy is it to get out of the ditch again if I go right down close to it?
So I mean, it's a lot of kind of gravel and rubble. But it's cold and it's frozen quite hard at the moment, so it's probably not too difficult to get in and out.
Okay, against my probably better judgment, I will go down and try and have a closer look.
Are you athletic?
Yeah, I think I have athletic as a trait. Yeah.
Okay, rolling dice for me.
Is it 2 or just 1?
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah, you manage to slide down, and at the last second, a bit of the dirt sort of gives way, and you stumble a little bit, and you end up like landing, falling forward onto your hands, pushed up against what you immediately realise is just a pile of like trash wrapped in blankets and waste. There's no like body there underneath. You can push it, and it kind of like indents to feel around like the hard rock and waste wood that's underneath it. There's a kind of wash of relief over your body that this isn't the third time today you've came over one.
Yeah, 3 times in one day would seem crazy. I think I'll probably just try and climb back out of the hole if I'm satisfied that this is not another body.
Yeah, you clamber back out and dust yourself off, and you're like, fuck, I just wasted like a minute of my life. I get back and it's covered in muck now.
I think I'll just try and head back to my shack for a while to get warm before I do anything else.
Callum, have you came back, or have you just like gone? Alright, I'm just going to assume he's gone for the rest now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can make your way back to your little shack. You can see the smoke coming up from a lot of the shacks. They've got the stoves fitted, and yours is quite well put together because you guys know what you're doing. And it's welcome relief to like open the door, see your comrades sat around there, and they're all like, hey, when you come back in. Because they know that your name got called for work today, so they know you got money in your pocket. And they're just kind of like sat around there, and you can smell like the smell of men and alcohol and the burning wood as you come inside. So
I think I'll just be relieved to be among like familiar people again and get a little bit warm at the stove.
So Gerta, after Oscar, I mean, I'm guessing Oscar's going to drop you and Emil off before he goes and drops off the guy.
Yeah, he drops us off at the restaurant because we said that we were going to the restaurant.
So you get dropped off directly at the restaurant. You're not going to wash up or put makeup on or anything before?
Oh, actually, yeah, we'll probably go to the flat. Because we're meeting Oscar anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he's going to drop you off where you live. And I think we talked about this, so you're going to be living in one of these women's only buildings that were set up, and it's for like young, single working women. Presumably to try and give you somewhere you feel kind of like safe and secure, and so people don't get the quote unquote wrong impression. And you and Emil share one of these apartments, so you have your own sort of discreet little bedrooms, bedsits, and then a communal living room kind of area, which is actually really nicely fitted and furnished, modern amenities. And for some reason or other, the front of the house is always like, in these places, is more, it had more money spent on it because these are the rooms that they show off to people when they're showing them around the hotel. And they normally refer to them as hotels, right? I think I've got everybody's character rate page now. I do not. So yeah, he drops you off at the building, and you and Emil like walk up the stairs. And is it just Oscar you're meeting tonight?
No, we're meeting a few of the girls from the Salvation Army as well.
Sure. So Emil's like chatting away, and she's excited. She's like, "Oh, it's such a relief to put her hair down and get out after spending all day around all that misery."
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a steak. I think that'll be nice to have a steak.
A steak? How are you going to afford a steak?
I've been saving up a meal.
Oh. I'm just gonna have a few drinks, I think. Keep a light meal.
Yeah, well, the steak and the iron in the steak keep the blood going.
The steak keep the blood going.
Well, she didn't know back then, did they? They were like steak and milk, thinking is so healthy.
So, are you familiar with the owner of the building?
Yes.
Okay, so he's not just the landlord. I mean, he is effectively, but the
he
owner of
goes to the church singing group.
well, he's attended the church thing group. He's not Swedish. He's very American. So his name is Harold Mitchell.
Okay.
He's a portly, balding man in his late 50s. You know he's a widower. He's quite outgoing, and seems to enjoy the company of the young women that are in the building in a totally non-creepy way. But he does tend to stop by and talk to the manager of the building, stuff like that, at certain hours. And as you enter the building, he is down at the front desk, having a jolly conversation with the manager. And when he sees you two coming in, you know, his big bushy grey moustache, which is decidedly from an earlier decade, just kind of like ruffles as he's kind of like laughing, and he puts out this big beaming smile as the two of you enter. Like, good evening, ladies.
Evening. Have a nice night.
Oh, well, the night is just beginning.
Got any good plans?
None that I wouldn't change to spend a few hours with you, beautiful young ladies. And he laughs.
Oh, you flatter, you flatter.
Well, you both take care now.
Will do. Oh, Emil, you know, I wanted to buy those stockings from that, new store, but I just couldn't afford them. So have you got that eyeliner pencil? And I'll just create the lines on my legs and and the instead of the stockings. People think it's just stockings anyway, would they?
Or you could just buy stockings instead of saving up for steaks. Greta.
Yeah, but you need to have the finer things, and then people think that I have stockings on anyway. So
She just looks at you and she's like, we really need to get you married.
did you get anything good from the Salvation Army? Sometimes they have a dress or two. There's a bit of a prize in there.
She's like, no, you know who was in yesterday, and I think she took everything that was worth taking.
Therese.
Yeah, but I don't want to say anything bad, you know, early bird and all that.
Therese Fortescue takes everything, doesn't she? Oh, I'm Therese Fortescue.
And she just laughs. She's like, Gerta, you're terrible.
I came in the Mayflower.
Yes, then she like bursts out laughing loudly enough that the guys at the bottom of the stairs, the manager and Harold, like Mitchell, turn up and like look up to see what he's laughing about. And then they say something and kind of laugh between themselves as well.
That's Therese. She's always drinking with the saucer and the cup and the teaspoon. It's like Lady Muck, isn't it?
Yeah, and she takes out her key and goes to put it in the door and goes to turn it. And then she stops. Well, that's odd. The door,
What's happening?
it's already open. Did you lock it this morning?
I locked it, Emil. I definitely locked it.
You can see her taking a deep breath of just like anxiety. I'm sure it's fine. And she like puts the key back in her purse and turns the door and looks at you for a second before she pushes it open, and then she pushes it open.
Emil.
The door
Maybe
just like
we should-
the door just like, you know, goes open. Me English good. Well, the two of you kind of stand there at the doorway as you say, Emil, and like she's looking at you like, I don't want to go in first.
Emil, I'll go in and I'll check it out.
I'm right behind you, and she's like literally right behind you as you walk in. Everything looks untouched, fine. You turn on the electric light, comes on. The room is brightly illuminated. All your furniture's there. Everything's laid out the way you had it this morning. The window's still closed. The curtains are still drawn. Nothing looks any different.
Let's check her makeup and stuff just to see that nothing's been taken or any of her belongings in, her drawers.
She nods and goes as if she's going to go up to the front door again and close it, and then she stops and she says, let's just look at the rooms quick. And she opens up her room door to make sure there's no one in there.
I'll check under my bed.
Yes, you spend a couple of minutes being paranoid and just checking that it's empty before you just lock the front door again. And then Emil just like starts laughing uncontrollably. She's like, we're so silly, it's ridiculous.
What would Charisse say, eh?
Oh, my butler will check it for me.
Totally.
And then you just set about getting ready for the evening. So, Rocky, you were leaving the medical tent and standing at the bus station, the trolley stop.
Yeah, I think like I said, not necessarily really doing any investigating of the bus stop, but just sort of staring at it like, this is the last place that anybody saw either Angela or Nancy, and it's just like he's kind of willing something to just show up, but he's just like frustrated that again he's nowhere closer than he really started. At least he feels,
How long are you standing at this bus stop for? Because it is a very cold, wintry night.
Probably not even 30 minutes, really. I'll probably stand there just long enough for like a shiver to run down my spine, and then I'll be like, all right, yeah, no, I gotta get going somewhere else, warm up at least.
Sure, and you head back to your car and then driving home to your apartment, yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm in need of a drink.
And suddenly from the back seat, Paul grabs you.
Oh, jeez. Dude, you missed a lot.
Yeah,
The roof cave in.
yeah, I imagined. I apologize.
No, it's fine. Is everything all right?
The landlord from upstairs wanted to come and have a look through things, and then he took me upstairs to go and have a look at things, and then there was a plumber that appeared. He wanted to come and have a look at things. It was just like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is getting big.
At least they got a plumber out earlier.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
The kicker in the fucking teeth is the plumber didn't do fuck all. He's like, all right, I'll get parts and I'll be back tomorrow. I'm like, why did you come out this late at night? What?
Well, I mean, if he looks tonight, then he can come in tomorrow with the stuff right away, I suppose. I mean, probably just to check it wasn't like a total emergency. I don't know.
I hope so, but it was more like I was trying to highlight the dripping. And of course, guess what doesn't happen when he's here?
The drips, yeah.
No dripping. None. Makes me look like I am absolutely, I'm a mental fruit basket, because I'm like trying to tell him like, this has been going on for quite, at least several days, longer than what's happened in the other bathroom. And I show him the other bathroom with the stain marks. And then I show him all the areas that I can hear it very clearly. And I point to where it is because it's the loudest in there. And I'm like, I'm pointing and stuff, and I'm thinking it's here, and he's like, well, I mean, if you're suffering water damage, we'd be able to see it. And I'm like, I fucking know. I can still hear it. And it's like, well, we don't hear anything. And I'm like, it's intermittent.
I'm sure it'd be fine, mate.
Just like, that was my experience. Anyway, continue.
I'm gonna go to Lou quick, actually, if you guys want to fill him in. Or if Eric wants to fill him in, since you two were together.
Sure, yeah.
Just Paul is the silent partner with Eric for this entire time.
Yeah, I think Paul went to the loo at one point during the day and then never came back, which was perhaps equally as worrying as everything else that happened.
We like ignored him as well, so there was like this big giant pause. It was like, are you there? Is this a ghost?
Just like, then he opens the porta cabin, there's no one inside. And it's also like, did porta cabins exist back then? Like,
That is a good question.
it's like, and then you look away and you look back and there's no porta cabin, and you're just like, what the fuck?
But yeah, there was a dead body in the place where we were working. It was covered in a tarpaulin. I told the foreman, who was not very understanding about it. He said that, oh yeah, we can't take time to stop for this, so just cover the body up and shove it in the water. So, with no other real options, I reluctantly did that, although in the dead man's pockets I found $2 and a card with the name of a hotel on it that also had the guy's name, like a worker's ID. He seemed to be like in a quite advanced state of decay, probably a bit like the body that we found in the water, but like having been lying around for a long time. And oh yeah, the body was missing its internal organs, which is, you know, always reassuring.
You always lose those internal organs. They're just so fast.
Yeah. You know, you check when you leave the house. You've got your wallet, your watch, your internal organs.
And then, it's like, you go to reach for them, you realize you're grabbing your intestines, you're like, nearly forgot them this time.
But, yeah, I think that was the main thing that happened then, when I came back from it. Yeah, I got $6 for working at the place. I guess probably Paul would get $6 for working the shift as well.
Yeah, he would.
Cool. Yeah, other than that...
Even though he spent most of it away in a room.
Slacking again. Yeah, when I came back from the place of work, there was a very shaken up guy from the shanty town at the medical tent who, again, seemed to be suffering the same kind of affliction as the other people who have either gone missing or been in trouble. He had, kind of like wasted away look about him. I took him back to his shack and saw what I thought was a dead body lying at the side of the road, but turned out to just be a pile of trash wrapped in some rags. Because, 3 dead bodies in one day would be slightly troubling.
I wonder how common dead bodies were during the Depression, especially in like the shack towns and stuff like that. Just sort of like, there's just someone that's just looks like they're sleeping at the side of the road.
Oh,
yeah,
quite a lot.
uncommon.
I mean, especially in the winter, they would just like freeze to death from exposure, and you would find them dead in the morning, I imagine. Ones that didn't have like actual shacks with heating.
Yeah.
And then people just getting blind drunk and falling in the river and stuff like that. And then, of course, you can remember it was Prohibition era, and there was all kinds of crime going on.
Oh, yeah.
Because, of course, this is the time of like Capone and Luciano and Murder Inc. and all that stuff.
Yeah, a bit of a still kind of Wild West sort of thing going on.
I mean, it was a lot less Wild West than your imagination probably thinks, but there definitely would have been moments where it would have been like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not nearly as, like, calm
safe
and orderly as nowadays, yeah.
And you're a lot more likely to just get into a bar fight with someone and someone ends up dead.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rocky, so you drive home to your lovely apartment. Lovely, lonely, cold, empty apartment.
Yeah.
You come in, you switch on the lights. Again, you've got nice electrical lighting. It's all very stylish stuff that your wife has picked out. There's lots of mirrors and varnished wood kind of surfaces. Metal legs and the table and chairs and stuff like that. Just a very pleasant, modern, fresh kind of atmosphere. But now that she's not here, it just seems devoid of life. It feels cold and the shadows just look like sharper and darker.
This probably smells more like cigarette smoke than like her perfume or whatever.
And as you kind of look across the glasses and bottles that you've left out in the last couple of days, you can already see the path that you're like prone to sinking into in situations like this.
Probably making that observation as I'm already like sinking into that.
Yeah, and, like you sit back in your chair with your bottle and your glass and just look at all the ones in front of you.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So what's the plan? Are you just going to sit and drink yourself to sleep?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Rocky's really just. Well, okay. Actually, I think that's probably what the plan is at first. Like he almost kind of autopilots to that, but like just takes a like probably drinks a glass and then just afterwards kind of like stares at it and is like, no, there's something I can be doing. I can't just And then I think I'm gonna try to look through Angela's things, actually, the stuff that she might have here, like notebooks or like I don't normally go through her shit, but because I normally don't bother with it. But like, I feel like Rocky's getting more and more desperate and is just looking like is literally considering looking under every stone or pebble that he can find. Like it's already been a couple of days and he's just freaking out. And I mean, he's already seen one body. He's seen several men that look just awful, and he's, despite trying not to go to that dark place in his mind, he's freaking out that maybe the next body he sees is going to be Angela's.
Okay, so you go into the bedroom. You know she has a drawer, a closet, a box somewhere of stuff like personal items that she keeps. You know she's got like a diary, but she doesn't write in it very often. She's not really just that type of person, but she has it there just because someone gave her it as a gift, and sometimes she likes to write things down for the special days.
Yeah, Rocky's going to just go through it all, try to find anything.
So what investigation skills do you have again?
The only investigation I have is surveillance and scene analysis, and that's quite literally it.
Okay, scene analysis will do, and I'll give you a dice just because it's your wife, so you've got 2 dice.
Okay. Can I get a third because it's clever? I'll take that as a no.
Yeah, I guess not.
Fair enough. Okay, well, hey, about that stress thing.
Okay, yeah, so you can add another dice and then roll all 3 of the dice together if you want to re-roll it. And if the stress dice, which will be the last one in the row, comes up, it's going to increase your stress.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Well, all right. My stress is already at 1, so.
Well, your stress isn't going to go up because it was not the highest result.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, so you're going through stuff. You're flicking through the diary. There's nothing really there. Not recent enough. She's got some photographs and pictures. What does she like to do as a hobby? Because scrapbooking, doll making, and stuff like that were quite popular hobbies at the time.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, scrapbooking would probably be her thing.
Yeah, and you can
I mean,
see
usually before we, she'd gone missing. Like, I feel like they were still quite a, young couple, like going out for a night on the town and just,
uh-huh. Yeah, so
stuff
she's
like
got
that.
stuff in the scrapbook, and it's mostly kind of like fashion magazines and women's magazines, stuff like that. It's like different dresses, hairstyles, stuff like that. She's cut out and like pasted together and mixed them up to make different combinations and stuff like that. And then she's got some of the sort of headline news stories of the time, and things that she just thought was historically important. And some of those will be, and some of those won't be. They're just like what catches her attention. And none of this really seems that relevant. And then a piece of paper falls out from the bottom of the collection of scraps. And you pick it up, and it's like a business card for Cumbernauld Hospital, which you now know is where the tent she was helping with, or where our friend was helping with. And it's for a Dr. Coombs. And it's got, like his office number and the address of the hospital and stuff like that. And then on the reverse side is like a handwritten message. Thanks for all your help.
Is it, would I recognize it as Angela's handwriting or somebody else's?
It's not her handwriting.
Okay. Kind of ignoring the brief little, like, why did she feel like hiding this? But, the important thing is, trying to find her. Okay, how far away would that hospital be?
So I think
From both, like, Tin City and
yeah.
our
So I mean,
apartment?
from Tin City, I think you're sort of more southeast, not too far south, but kind of east. How many blocks is that? I'm trying to visualize. I mean, it's not a long drive. You're talking about a number of blocks at night, and it's not going to be that busy at night. I mean, the streets will be busy, but driving wise, it's probably not as busy.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, it would not take you long to drive to the hospital if you wanted to do it at night.
Yeah. No, I think honestly, if I haven't gone through all of her stuff, I think honestly I would stop as soon as I find that piece of paper, and I would just immediately grab my coat again, head on out, like try to go directly to that hospital.
Okay, so Paul, once you come back with Eric and you are dropped off at Tin City again, Eric goes off, says he's going off to get some stuff done, and goes off to the medical tent. Why is this playing this music? Why is it not stopping this music? And then, obviously, you've got $6 in your pocket now. It's dark. Sorry, it's about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. Very cold, January. Wind's picking up. There's a kind of bitter chill to it. So where do you want to go?
I imagine probably had a conversation with Eric along the lines of, and Eric said like he's going to go and do that. I think Paul would probably go to Agnes to sort of hand over the money.
Yeah, so you meander your way through the shacks and camps, and back to the one where your family stays. And of course, Agnes has done her duty and she's like bolted the door from the inside so that it can't just be pushed open. You can see smoke coming from the little chimney, and a light coming from inside through the thin curtain that's over the little window that you made.
Woohoo! Sort of do the knock and just sort of say, "It's Paul,"
How old are your two kids at this point in time?
I think they would be probably like mid-teens, like probably between like 12 and 15 years.
Okay, so, and they're both boys, is that right?
Let's just say boy and girl.
Okay, so your little girl is inside because your wife was like, "You're not going out in the dark." No, not around here. Your boy's a little bit of a tearaway, I guess, being that age. and he's out saying he's going to go play football with some of the other kids, or baseball, or whatever sports they play here in America. So when your wife opens the door and, you know, gives you that look just like, Jesus Christ, how did it go today? Please tell me something good.
And just sort of probably, like, you know, go in and then, like, take out the dollars just to show that, like, you know, there's some money.
And there's like an audible sigh of relief from Agnes. She's like, oh, thank God. All right, she takes the money. I'm going to go and see what I can get for us just now, even though it's late. There's some tea on the pot there. And I try
Is there
to
anything else to do here for you, Agnes?
just watch after the viewings, and I'll be back as soon as I can, and I'll try and make us something to eat.
Of course so.
So she takes the money and she goes out into the cold, wraps her jacket around her, and heads off. And you're left in there with your daughter. And she's got this book that she must have read 100 times already. And she's like sitting there trying to amuse herself by reading it and rereading it.
Imagine it's really ragged and it's starting to fall. Probably in like 3 sections and stuff because the spine's broken from re-wearing.
Yeah, and she starts to ask you about, you know, how did you do today? Did you find any work? What was it like? Just a million questions, just out of utter boredom more than anything else.
I think Paul would probably take a while to answer. Like, he'll pour himself like a mug of probably the thick tar coffee because I imagine it's just been cooking for a while. Has a sip, and then entertains her. You know, just sort of, you know, plays it up a bit. You know, just to sort of like, you know, like, oh, I was moving entire skyscrapers. You wouldn't know. Like, you know, Eric. You know, he was doing nothing all day. Nothing. It was leaving it all to me. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and she's like giggling along and laughing. She's like, it was funny that day and all that shit. And then at the end, and it goes quiet for a bit, and you're kind of finishing her coffee, and she waits as if she's been waiting to ask this all day. And she's like, Dad, did they find a dead person this morning?
No, just to help me get the times, this just, you know, speaking out of character, when the dead body, is that referencing the one that was washed up on the riverbank?
Yes, that was this morning.
Cool, from the last session, right? Cool. You know, so I'm guessing like she's used to that there is dead bodies and things. Like, we don't imagine hiding.
Facts of
is
life,
one of those,
yeah.
Yeah. Aye. Looks like it was probably easy for him. Looks like it was a fast one. Best way to go. You don't want to suffer.
Some of the other kids said he was eaten by a monster.
Paul, I think for the sake of it, is probably one of those like flashes on his face, depending if she was looking at him. There's probably this look of him having that sort of traumatized like memory, but he tries to like gloss it over as quickly as it appears, kind of thing. Oh, come on now. The only monsters around here are those politicians. They're always there. Those are the real monsters. And I don't think they're eating people. But I think they'd make for a good roasting, don't you? I think we could always, you know, get one on a spike, put it over the stove. Get enough meat for a few years.
I don't know. A lot of kids talking about, you know, like scary stuff happening around here. And I was just wondering.
Aye, there's plenty of scary things around here. I mean, you know that. That's why your mother wants to keep you in here. It's not the best of places.
Yeah. But when are we going to move, Dad? I want to go home.
Obviously, this is like a conversation that's happened many times. And probably the hesitation is because he understands what's back there. It's like, we can make a new home out here. This is the land of the free. And he's trying his best to make that sound confident. Like, he is trying his best to, like, you know, like, we have a better life here. It's probably falling flat very quickly.
She has a look of just, like, sympathy for you in her face. She gets it. But there's that little bit of hope that she tries to hold on to just dies a little bit more each time this confrontation happens.
I imagine then there's this very long, awkward, weighted silence that happens after that. As you know, every so often it's broken up by like her maybe like shuffling slightly and Paul sipping his coffee.
And then there's a bang on the door. It's kind of like the knock that you're supposed to knock for your family, but it's done like lighter and really quickly.
You know, Paul will get up and go and unbolt and open the door.
And you see your son standing there, his face all like red from being out in the cold. And he's like, "Ma!" And then he sees it's you and he's like, "Oh, hi, Dad."
Oh, come on in. You sort of grab him by like this. I'm trying to imagine like how tall a 13-year-old is. I'm guessing probably just grab the back of his head and just sort of pull him in.
I was thinking, good, your guy's huge anyway, though, so no matter how tall he is. Yeah, you get him in, and there's a distinct smell of tobacco off him when you like pull him in the house. Oh, where's Mog on? Is there anything to eat?
I imagine there's probably some form of like a thin stew or something that's bubbling away.
Yeah, it's just like the tea broth thing that she's left, and it's just something that kind of like just to tide you over until some food appears at some point.
Paul will probably go over, pour out a bowl and just sort of hand it off to him and just go, "And what have you been up to?"
Coughs a couple of times. It's like, nothing, we were just playing some ball. They don't play football here.
What do they play? You know, as Paul sort of like comes closer, sits very, very close by, making it very clear that, Paul can smell something.
He kind of like shuffles to the side, even though there's not a lot of room in this bunk. They baseball. They throw it. It's kind of like pitchers. You throw it and you hit it with the bat and you run around in a circle.
And did you win?
We kind of switched teams. Nobody really won, but I guess we did better, yeah.
And in between all these games, I'm sure you had a lot of fun and winning. When did you have time to smoke?
I don't smoke that. You know that. You told me not to.
I did. And you clearly remember me telling you that. And I just want to know why you smell like a chimney.
Well, a lot of the other boys smoke, and I'm sitting next to them a lot of the time, so I guess it just rubs off on me.
Sort of leans in very close by and just sort of like within like a couple of inches of his face, and he just says, "Do you want to say that again? I couldn't quite hear you."
He says it a lot more quietly this time.
No. Speak up. I want to hear you very clearly. Obviously mentioning he wants him to speak out loud and then smell off his breath. And
I wasn't smoking that, honest. Some of the other boys were, and I was just like standing next to them.
And do I get any whiff of the baccy off of his breath?
I don't think you can smell off the breath as much, Mum. You can really... I mean, he's reeking of it. He's very obviously been smoking. Because if he's standing outside and stuff, he would not smell like that.
Just trying to think in regards to like what he would do.
I mean, a lot of people didn't think smoking was actually bad for you at this point as well.
No, it's the money. That's the aspect.
Oh, yeah, true.
He's trying to go like, look, you're literally setting your money on fire. Look, I know it's supposed to be good for you, but you can't afford it. We're already struggling enough as is to get this sorted.
But I didn't spend any money on it, Dad. I mean, I didn't smoke.
And just Paul just sort of ruffles his hair. Just be mindful. We don't have the money to spend.
He looks down because he knows he's done. He's like, aye, alright. And then there's like a big doof, 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 doof on the side of the door.
Open it back up again.
And your wife Agnes is there, and she's got a small basket under her arm, under her jacket. And she like hurriedly gets in as if she's like sneaking a package through a war zone or something. Okay, well I wasn't able to get a lot this time, but I know one of the grocery keepers, and he kept a few things aside for us. She gives you back like $4 and some change.
Probably, I'm trying to think. He probably puts it like in his boot or something like that.
Sure. And she unwraps it, and there's like a little jar of jam and some bread, and probably like some vegetables or something.
Oh, feast for the ages. I guess I didn't know how you do it.
She probably doesn't say anything. She probably just gives you a look like, yeah, just make sure you keep it coming. Okay, yeah, so you settle down and you just have your meal and probably tell stories and stuff like that. Or play some games or something just to try and pass the evening until it's time to actually get some sleep. Eric, I mean, you're back in yours, and you guys are like telling probably stories of when you were at sea and stuff like that, and the same old jokes and stuff you've told 100 times before, but it's a way to just be comfortable and pass the time as well. Even though you're all like, your stomachs are grumbling a bit, and you're just really filling it up with like tobacco and alcohol.
Would I'm guessing we'd probably, in amongst it all, have mentioned seeing the two dead bodies, but I guess that they'd probably just take that as an inevitable fact of life in the shanty town.
I can't remember the guy's names you're with again.
Did we have names for them? I actually don't remember them.
We'll need to give them some names, but let's just say at the moment, when you start talking about bodies and they nudge you and they're just like, okay, Eric, we put up with your stories long enough. We know you got paid today. Can we go get something to eat?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would, again, I think with my feeling of kind of responsibility for them, I would, yeah, probably say, sure, let's go.
Yeah, they pack up their belongings as much as they can. Probably just shove like little quart bottles of alcohol they've got and stuff like that just in their pocket to take with them. And you just go off looking for like a food stand place to just go get a late night pie from or something like that. Hot dog, burger, whatever they're selling in this time period.
I think I would probably warn them to try and like keep together in case there seems to be like something going on. It's probably safer that we stick together.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, you know, the 4 or 5 of you, you know, grown sailormen that you are, you know, you just don't feel too intimidated by people when you're all together like this. And if you've got a couple of drinks in you as well, you know, the confidence is high. So, I mean, that's easily going to take you up to like 9 o'clock. Are you not bothering with the hospital tonight?
I was wondering about that. Yeah, how difficult would it be for me to get there? I mean, is it something that I could reasonably walk in safety, or I mean, would I need to like get a trolley or something?
You could definitely walk, but I mean, you've got a few bucks in your pocket. The trolley is a dime, if that. So I mean, you can easily afford to catch a trolley there.
Yeah, I think you know, once the other guys are all fed and everything, I would like see that they're going home and say, you know, like I'll catch up later on. I got something to do, so I'd just you know, maybe get the trolley and go along to check it out. Just kind of satisfy my own curiosity.
And you're wanting to go yourself. You're not wanting to go fetch Paul to go with you.
Well, that's yeah. Again, that went through my mind. I'm just thinking, like, would I feel that Paul would be willing to leave his family though?
I mean, you would know Paul better than I would.
Yeah, that's fair.
So like, chances are you've probably came to Paul and entertained. And let's be honest, entertainment late in the evening is probably minimal.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, I mean, I think I would probably at least mention it to you. You know, do you want to go and like check this out? You know, we got the note off the guy, but you know, I think I would understand if you wanted to, you know, stay and see that your family's all right.
Yeah, I think Paul would do that, but he'd also make an effort of sort of giving the majority of the money to Agnes. Paul's not exactly known for going out and spending all of the money, but it's more of a just in case he gets mugged.
Yes, sensible.
So it's like probably of the $4 that remains, probably gives like 3 to Agnes.
Yeah, so you're going to offer like a drink, a snack, and your fare. Maybe a good bit more than that, actually. I don't think about the prices now, but yeah. So, Eric, are you swinging by on your way with the rest of them to just pick up Paul on your way there, so that you've got this rowdy bunch of Norwegians with you? Or would you go see Paul after you've left him?
I think I would probably go and see Paul after I've left them. I think it would. Yeah, I think probably bringing the full gang along might be too visible. So I think you're probably better doing this kind of a little bit discreetly.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, so you swing by Paul's, there's the knock on the door, and you open, it's Eric.
So, Paul, do you want to go and check the hospital, or do you want to stay here tonight?
Going to hostel might be a good idea. Catch up with things, see what's happened.
I mean, it's up to you. You know, we might get some idea as to what's going on around here, but at the same time, it's your call.
I think the hospital probably makes sense.
Okay, but we'll try and be careful.
So this time of night, there's much less activity kind of going on in the city. People don't really like to be out after dark, especially not in the cold. Some of the hard drinkers, the actual alcoholics and such, are like still standing around drinking, playing dice, rolling cards around their little campfires that they set up outside. And then there's probably a few really sketchy characters lurking around, looking at mug, the unsuspecting or the unfamiliar. And then there's probably a couple of guys walking around who are acting as sort of like community police, making sure that people aren't breaking in because they don't want that kind of shit going on where they live. So this is all going on, and then you guys get to the edge of the shanty town, and there's a trolley stop across the street. And for like a dime or so, you'll be able to get the trolley, and that'll take you up to the Cumbernauld Hospital where you want to go. So there's like the Brooklyn Hospital, which is the proper hospital. Then there's a park, and then on the east side of the park there's Cumbernauld Hospital, and that is a hospital that serves like the city's poor. That's where all the charitable organisations put their funding into. It's where doctors and nurses will spend their sort of pro bono hours almost, going to help people who can't afford any kind of healthcare service. And it's where you see the worst cases of the disease and the poverty in the city manifesting, because these are all people who just cannot afford proper care. So let's, for talking sake, say you guys jump off the trolley there around about the time that Rocky is pulling up in his car. So you two probably recognise him easier than he recognises you from earlier in the day because of how he's dressed.
Have we had much interaction with Rocky?
Just this morning when the body was discovered, he was there standing around and stuff. So, you might recognise him when you see him coming out of his car, getting into the building, but, you don't really know much else about him.
Just seeing this very relatively well-dressed person. It's like, interesting that he was there at the body and he's now here. Need to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, and anybody flashy really sticks out around here, I guess.
Whereas you two, living where you are and the status that you're at, you look like all the other people that have attended here to be treated. There's people there with stab wounds, broken limbs, stubbed toes, children that are just like sick and coughing, people with severe, ailments and diseases. If there's like an accident emergency kind of waiting area, just full of people who are clearly sick and in need of attention. Other than that, there is like a reception desk area. There might be like one nurse and a security guard on duty there at this time of night. So, Rocky, do you want to go first? What do you want to do?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Rocky will. It was the note said it was Dr. Coombe.
Coombs, yeah, or Combs. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Probably either or. But yeah. Yeah. Combs.
I just realised I had
Yeah, I'll just go with
first
Combs.
name, but
Fuck
yeah.
it. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, I'll Rocky will step up to the receptionist and she's like, excuse me, is there a Dr. Coombs here? I'd really like to speak with him.
Yes, he's working on the emergency ward tonight. I'm afraid he's like extremely busy.
Is there any way that any way at all that I can see him as soon as possible? Like, is any free time at all today?
I mean, if you want to take a seat, I can let him know you're here, and if he has a break at any point during the night, I can ask if he'll come see you.
Yeah, if just let him know it's about Angela.
All right, I'll pass the message along, but I can't guarantee anything.
Yeah, thank you. I really would appreciate it. It's kind of urgent.
So the emergency waiting room is like packed full of people. This reception area, the waiting room, it would just be you sitting there. Green and white tiling of the waiting room passageway. Green and white linoleum on the ground. It smells very clean, like bleaching detergent. But it's it's really quiet and quite chilly. There is heating, but it's not going to be. It's at the front door and stuff, so it's still quite cold. So Eric and Paul, I mean, Hospital Ward 14. That's all you've got to go in at the moment, and whatever else it was scribbled in front of that on the message that you read. So what do you want to do?
I guess try our best to find Ward 14.
Yeah, is there any sign to indicate which way the wards are, or is it just
Okay, so you two come in just after Rocky, and you can see there's a sign saying ward such and such this way, ward such and such this way, and the man that was in front of you, the well-dressed one, is talking to the receptionist. Are you guys just going to kind of like walk past them and go towards the wards?
Is the security guard like watching the ward doors till? I mean, would we be able to get past without being seen, or would we attract attention?
Yeah, it's not a large room. He's definitely going to see you if you start walking off those directions. Whether or not he does anything is another question.
How do you want to play this, Paul?
I think probably the smartest would probably be to stand behind Rocky and wait to ask I was going to say receptionist, but I know they're not, but that's the best I've got in my head of what role they've got, to ask them where Ward 14 is?
Yeah, it's actually at this point they would have had a separate receptionist. It probably wouldn't have been a nurse. Because we had a lot more people hired to do individual jobs. It wasn't like one person doing 20 people's jobs. But yeah, so user standing in time and you can hear his conversation. He's saying it's about Angela, he's asking for Dr. Coombs, and she's telling him he's going to have to wait. And then you guys step up, and she's like, yes, sirs, how can I help you?
Hi there, we're looking to go to Ward 14. We've got to visit, but I'm not quite sure which ward that one is.
Ward 14. Should take a second. There aren't any patients in Ward 14. Are you sure you've been given the right address?
Sort of like Paul looks at Eric just to make sure that he's, said the right number.
We were given a note with 14 on it, but it was our friend Sven. We believe he was brought in. It might have been the handwriting wasn't very clear. It might have been 13 or maybe even 12.
Oh, and she lowers her tone. She's like, oh, are you gentlemen? Are you currently without work?
Well, times are tough.
Paul will just nod and just say, well, if there's a job going, I'll take it.
Sorry, there is a crew of men working in Ward 14. I know that they'd hired some of the men from the unemployed men to come and help out overnight.
Eric, that must be what it's for. You've been a cracking help. Can you just point us the way of it? We'll just be out of your hair.
Yes, Mr. Wojcik is down there just now. If you speak to him, just follow the passage along to your left there, and it's the staircase at the far end on the left. And then she motions to the security guard, and she's like, they're okay to go through. They're working night shift. I'll have to write you a couple of passes if you hold on a second. And she pulls out 2 little cards, and then she goes, what are your names?
Paul Cummings.
So, Paul Cummings. There you go, Mr. Cummings. And you, sir?
Eric Anderson, yes.
Mr. Eric Anderson. Okay, there's your passes. If anyone gives you any trouble, they'll just let them know why you're here.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, so just a corridor to the left, and then at the far end there's a staircase down to the basement on the left if you go down there. And it's a Mr. Wojcik you want to speak to.
Just for my sake, was Rocky able to kind of hear, especially like the directions that she gave them?
Oh, you can hear everything she's saying, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
The only bit you
Rocky
might have struggled with is
definitely-
the only bit you might have struggled with when she hushes her tone, asking them if they're like unemployed and homeless.
Yeah. Rocky's kind of definitely taken a renewed interest in this and is like just trying to absorb as much as he can passively for now.
So you guys want to just follow her directions then?
Sounds good.
Yeah, you just go. Yeah, sorry. You go.
So I was like, is there, as unlikely as it is there any way I could sneak in after them? Or are they following the security guard?
And she like, oh, you asking me?
Yeah, just out of character.
Her or the security guard would definitely see you.
Fuck. Okay, in that case, yeah, Rocky will just try to make mental notes of the directions, I guess.
So do you guys want to just follow her directions then? Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we kind of look around a bit on the way down just in case there's anything out of place, but otherwise, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so you just walk through this kind of swing doors. You can see Ward 1, 2, 3. You're kind of walking through past all the beds, people coughing. A couple of orderlies are like helping a guy into his bed, and he seems kind of like confused, not knowing what's happening. You get to the end of the corridor, and there is a set of stairs to the left going down, and it's labelled Ward 14, basement level. Again, the walls are kind of like painted green, green white linoleum on the floor. You go down, and it takes you down like a couple of turns, a couple of flights of stairs before you're down there. And the big sign saying Ward 14 above, a pair of swing doors. And when you open those doors, you can hear like voices of men in the distance and the sound of what sounds like furniture being moved around.
This all seems a bit suspicious.
I just want to continue.
I think we should probably go in cautiously and maybe try and get a look at what's going on before we commit ourselves.
So you just want to creep along, trying to remain hidden as long as possible.
Yeah, try and be a little bit unobtrusive if we can. Yeah.
Okay, so you open up the sliding door and just like creep your way along the passageway. Not as many of the lights are on down here. It just seems like every second light is on. You can see like some of them have like the shielding's been taken off and the wires are hanging out if it's not been finished. A lot of the doors are kind of like got door stops holding them wide open. You can see rooms to the left and right are completely empty. You can smell really strongly the smell of like cleaning detergent, bleach. And the voices of the men that are speaking, they're not speaking English.
Can we recognize what language they're speaking, or is it just like an indistinct chatter?
I think with you being a sailor and European, you can probably recognize it that it's like Eastern European kind of language. It might be Czech or Polish or something like that. But yeah, it sounds as if there's at least 3, maybe 4 men. You can see like a short, burly man with like kind of thick grey hair, like swept over to the side on the top. It's been styled in a way to make it look like there's more than there is. He's quite short, and he seems to be like yelling at the others, not angrily, but almost kind of in a jovial fashion. And there's some like laughter and jokes being thrown back and forth in a different language.
Has he seen us, or are we still relatively hidden?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like standing in the doorway facing off to the side of the passage that you are coming along. But when you get close enough, you'll notice you. Unless you want to initiate.
Yeah, I suppose that doesn't seem like there's any anything to gain by staying hidden in this case. So I guess we should just call out to him.
Do you or Paul want to approach him? I'm assuming Paul's bigger than you because Paul's a big lad.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're a good height taller than this guy. He's quite a very short man. He can't be more than like 5'4". And he, as you're approaching, he's wearing like a white uniform, but it signifies him as some sort of hospital staff anyway. He's got his sleeves rolled up. He's got his like big head, thick, hairy arms. And just as you're kind of like getting close to him, he turns around. It's like, who are you? I'm not going to try and do a Polish accent.
Paul, I'm here for the job.
More? I didn't think they were sending more. Alright, well, there's work to do. And he says something in the Polish language off to the guys to the side. And then he points you to one of the rooms at the far end. It's full of furniture, just haul it all out and bring it out back.
Seems reasonable. I guess we'll just go along with that.
Yep, let's start carting out furniture.
Yeah, usually like, hey, a couple of bucks.
Why not?
Yeah, you step over the stuff that's like lying in the hallway here behind him. You can see there's like a mop and bucket, and again you can smell the bleach and stuff. The guys, they're not laughing, joking as loudly now. They're kind of quietly talking to each other. You step over past them and walk along a few doors to the end room. Open the swing doors there, and you can see this room is full of like old beds and mattresses, storage equipment, cupboards and stuff like that. And they've all just been kind of like shoved up against one wall at the end of the room.
Are they like reasonably carefully arranged, or is it like stuff that was thrown there in a hurry?
Kind of a mix. Like some of it's been stacked up. You can tell like a bunch of different people must have been doing it at the same time. Some things are just kind of like thrown in there. A couple of the beds are just like tossed on top of each other. But the cupboards and stuff are like stacked a little neater so they haven't like toppled over.
All right, I guess we better get to work.
So Gerta, you're out for drinks and a meal with Emil and Oscar and a few of the other girls from Salvation Army in the church, was it?
Yes.
So you're there, and how do you get your steak?
Well done.
Okay, so they bring it out and you cut into it, and instantly there's like blood in the steak. Just like seeping out on your plate. Not tons and tons of it, but enough that this has not been well done.
Excuse me?
Rather stressed out and exasperated waiter stops. Yes, ma'am?
I asked for well done. This is like out of a kettle. It's like it's moving.
Oh, terribly sorry, ma'am. I'll get that fixed for you right away. He picks it up and takes it away.
Thank you.
Everyone around you is kind of like laughing and joking. And Emil starts like making a mockery of you for being so posh about your steak that you've actually sent it back.
It was moving.
Yes, there's a lot of mocking because, you the cheek to send it back in this time. When other people can't afford a home and you're like ordering steak and shit.
Yes, well, it's a wee bit of luxury, isn't it?
I mean, I guess you're just going to go out for the meal and then you're going home, right? You're not going dancing or anything afterwards?
No, we're going home.
Do you bring up any of the stuff that is happening, or are you just there to enjoy yourself?
Well, it's been quite a tough day, so yeah, I would bring up the stuff that's happened because it's good to talk.
So one of the other girls, Lucy, she does a completely different job. She's a clerk somewhere in Manhattan. And she's like interested, and she's like, there must be all kinds of like ruffians down there at the docks. I mean, it's particularly hard, even amongst all the different Hoovervilles.
Well, Lucy, there was a body found in the beach, and also, Lucy, there are women that have gone missing. So,
Are they doing anything about it? I haven't seen anything in the papers.
Well, I hope so. Had to take a statement. Do you remember Angela?
Angela. Yes, I remember Angela.
Well, Angela's gone missing, apparently.
Missing? But isn't she... And she'll lose her voice. Isn't she like married to a gangster?
Oh, yes, Mr. Rickaby.
I mean, did they know she's actually missing and he hasn't traded her in or something?
I don't think so. I think if he would, he looked distressed. So, yeah, he looked visibly distressed, and yeah, he wouldn't encourage me to go to the police station to make a statement. That I saw her and some other girls at the bus stop get on the bus. So, yeah.
You said there's a few girls missing? Is there anyone else we know?
Well, I don't know yet, but I've heard in the grapevine there's been quite a few that but I don't know, they work in different shifts, so
Well, that's awful. They're not going to send you down there anymore, are they? Surely it's too dangerous if multiple people are going missing.
Well, you got to help the people out, don't you? Like, if you can't help them out, nobody else is going to help them. So.
Well, I mean that's true, Gerta, but at the same time, it's not worth risking your life for.
I know, but keep your eyes peeled and your wits about you. Like, make sure you're with a group when you're, doing anything. Don't, tonight, don't just be by yourself. Just make sure that you're with a few people, get you home okay.
Oh well, I have these wonderful ladies to escort me for the rest of the night. I'm quite sure I'll be in good company.
Yeah, watch yourself while you're like dancing. Are you going dancing tonight?
Oh, definitely, dear. It's Saturday.
Oh, we're stepping out on it because of the events, I don't think it's very safe to go out dancing when there's missing women
So she draws
in
on
the
like
neighborhood.
she draws on a cigarette, which is one of those big long handles, and she's like, "You Swedish church girls, you should really come out with us one night. It would change your perspective on things."
Maybe, but not just now. Everything seems quite, heightened, and we don't know who this person is that's kidnapping. So just keep your wits about you and make sure that you stay with all the other women. Just make sure that you are all together. Don't wander off on your own.
She takes another draw and she laughs. She's like my mother, Greta, darling. Gerta. You worry far too much. Life's too short,
Yes, but Lucy dear, you need to ensure that you're safe and keep your wits about you as well. If some random guy, if he isn't what he says he is, just keep a good distance.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be fine. Well, you don't need to worry because you've got Emil's new man to look after you both.
Emil has a new man.
Oh, she hasn't told you, and like she turns around and totally surprises Emil, who just looks immediately embarrassed.
Emil, when did you have a new man? Like you never told me.
Last week, I must have told you, surely, no? You took me into the pictures.
We're best friends, and friends of the bosom, and you didn't even tell me.
Well, we can talk about it later.
I've known you since you were. Like 6 years old, and you didn't tell me this. That was last week's information, and even Lucy dear knows.
Lucy goes, "Oh, it's not just me, darling," and gets everybody at the table's attention. She's like, "We all know, don't we?" And they all start laughing.
Emil.
Emil's like, I need to go to the powder room.
I follow Emil to the powder room. So what's this man like?
You're so judgmental, Gerta. I couldn't tell you.
What's he like?
He's one of those Italian men.
He's Italian?
Yes, he's one of those Italian men. He's in the olive oil industry.
Is he Catholic?
Of course he's Catholic. See, that's
Like,
I knew you'd be judgmental. You're always like this.
But you're not Catholic.
I don't have to be Catholic. Gerta, it's America. It's not the same here.
We all go to the same church. I thought you would be with Hans. Hans is, the place.
Is Hans not is Hans not the reverend at the church?
No, this is Hans. This is Hans Jr.
Okay, different Hans. She's like, "Oh goodness, no, Gerta, come on."
He plays
The organ.
the organ.
Gerta, I'm not marrying an organ player. I didn't come here to America for that kind of life. No,
There's tunes.
no, listen. Listen, I knew you'd be like this. This is why I didn't tell you. Because you're always like this. You're always judging me and my choices.
Well, keep your wits end about you. He's not like our Swedish men, but respectful.
He's very respectful. I told you he's a businessman. And quite a wealthy one at that.
Well, just make sure that you're safe. That's all that matters. You're my sister,
Yes, I know. But I'm not your little sister.
Well, you kind of are, little sister. You are like 2 years younger than me.
She like hits you with like the powder puff thing. It's like, behaviour.
Oh, karamis.
I don't know what
I
that's
give her a
supposed to
big
be.
hug. That's hugs.
Yeah, and then you enjoy the rest of the evening. Yeah, Paul, I mean, that kind of makes sense of Rocky, because he does smoke. He goes out for a cigarette at some point.
So I literally just see them just hauling out furniture.
I mean, if you go... You wouldn't walk all the way around the back of the building, though, would you?
No, not really. If I was smoking, I mean,
Actually, you might like. Why would you even go outside to smoke? They would let you smoke in the hospital.
yeah, around that time, yeah, just right there in the waiting room, because at that point, they don't.
Some doctor grabs you and says, "Ha, great, we need some smoker. Just breathe in this old lady's face for
Quick.
5 minutes."
This man's coughing. Quick, breathe into his face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so you guys, you two are in the basement hauling this furniture. Some of the rooms have already been done. And they smell like they've been like really thoroughly scrubbed and cleaned. The Polish guys, the head guy Wojcik is the only one that seems to speak any English at all, and he only speaks to you when he's like telling you what to do. So I mean, unless there's something specific you want to do there, you would just be hauling furniture for the next couple hours.
Is there anything unusual about the furniture that we're hauling? Is it all just ordinary stuff?
Furniture itself is okay, but either of you can make a roll for like investigating if you want to look around the area while you're doing things.
How's Paul for investigation type skills?
I have a scene analysis.
Scene analysis would be perfect.
I imagine it's like sort of like looking at the furniture and just sort of having a look just to make sure how he's looking to see like the best order to move the furniture, but does he see something else as he's looking?
Sure. Do you have a
You're good
trait?
for tripping hazards and stuff.
Yeah, do you have a trait that applies? Or is it just your scene analysis?
I mean, I've got athletic, strong-willed, charismatic, and trained. So I don't think any of those are applicable in spotting tripping hazards and stuff.
All right, so you've got 1 dice. Eric, how many dice do you want to roll?
Is it based on any skills I've got that are relevant, or is it?
You can have 1 dice for 1 skill, and then 1 dice for a trait if either are relevant. 5's pretty good.
I think the only thing I've got that would be relevant is intuition.
Sure, I'll give you intuition.
Sure. So is that just the?
That just 1 dice, yeah.
One.
So that's failed. So if you want, you can add stress dice and reroll, or you just leave it.
I think I'll just leave it for now. Already at 2 stress and leave it.
Yeah, Paul. So you're you're trying to like drag out one of these cabinets, and it's like an old metal filing cabinet. It's really heavy, and you keep pulling it, and it's catching on something on the floor, and you're like, "What the hell?" And you look down, and there's like a little drain and a kind of little, channel around the room for draining like liquids and stuff. And the cabinet is catching on the edge of this drain. So you lean down and you can like screw off the head of the drain so that you can just like pull the cabinet out. And as you unscrew the head of the drain, something kind of glistens in the light, and there's like something metallic in there. There's also a lot of kind of muck that you need to stick your finger in.
Paul will try and sort of have a look. I'm trying to think. He'd probably reach in. I don't think he's experienced enough with hospitals, so I don't think he'd be like fearful of needles and stuff. He's also probably got very calloused hands, so he'd probably reach in to try and grab it.
Yeah, you reach in, thumb around with your finger and put your finger through it and pull it out, and it's a small silver wedding band, and it has appears to have some dried blood on it after you kind of brush off all the other sludge and muck.
Sort of having a look at it, probably can see the inscription. Probably doesn't even know it's Swedish, but passes it to Eric. Can you just say, shiny silver ring?
I'll have a look at it. Is there something inscribed on it? I mean, would I be able to read it?
Yes, there's an inscription in it. You recognise it as Swedish. You're clever, right?
Yeah, I think I have clever.
Okay, so you can roll 1 dice for clever, because Norwegian is very similar to Swedish. You can make out 2 names on it: Sven, Inga, something god. And if anyone's forgotten, Sven was the name of the guy's body this morning.
Yeah, I was just trying to think if Inga was his wife. I have Anna written down. Is that?
It could well be, maybe I've got it wrong.
It's like Anna, Inga, very similar.
It's Inga now.
This is where we discover Sven's a polygamist.
Could be, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a troubling development. I guess we should continue to play along for now that we don't know anything's up.
Yeah, I imagine the thought also occurs to you, that you could probably pawn that for a few bucks.
Yeah, also that.
So it's been a couple of hours, Rocky, and you're really getting fed up sitting there. You've ran out of things to smoke at this point. Maybe you're just getting kind of ready to give up and leave or try something else, when this man steps out, and he's wearing a long white overcoat that a doctor would wear, and it's covered not in blood, but it looks like, dried sick or something like that, and he's actually wiping it with a cloth as he comes out. Like, yes, someone's here to see me. I don't have long. He kind of looks down as he's continuing to try to clean himself.
Yeah, Dr. Coombs?
Yes, and you are? He holds his hand out to shake it.
Rickaby, Rourke Rickaby. I'm Angela's husband.
Oh, looks slightly taken back for a second, and he continues shaking your hand. It's like, oh, of course. How is she? Is something wrong?
Yeah, I was actually hoping you would tell me. See, about Thursday night, actually, yeah, Rocky doesn't say a specific day. He just says a couple nights ago, Angela didn't come home volunteering at Salvation Army, Red Hook, and she just never came home. And I found this in some of her things, and I was hoping you might have some answers for me, actually.
Takes the card, and he's quite a tall, slender, clean-shaven, attractive-looking guy with dark hair that's kind of combed back. He takes the card and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, she was helping out at the medical tent. She went above and beyond that day, and I just felt compelled to give her something as a sign of gratitude. I told her if she ever needed anything in the hospital, just to come and ask for it directly." But he holds his hand up and he's like, "I'm a married man."
Sure, yeah. No, I wasn't really that. Anyways, did she what exactly was she helping out with at the medical tent? She didn't really. I mean, I didn't see her at all that evening, so I'm really worried for her.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry, I don't have a great deal of time. Could you walk with me? I need to just go finish up something.
Yeah, absolutely.
He nods to the receptionist, and you follow him down the corridor, and he goes down, he turns left, turns right, go through the maze of wards and stuff. And he's talking, he's just going...
Yeah, just for clarification, are we going down roughly the same area that the other two guys?
No.
Okay.
You're not going that
just
direction.
Different way, all right. Still trying to keep a mental list of directions and a mental map of where we're going, but sorry, carry on.
No, he says, no, there's been a strange outbreak in that area with some of the homeless folk. Some sort of mental disease, I think. It's causing like daze, confusion, hallucinations, paranoia, and such. And they've been really. I've been trying to do as much of a study as possible with the limited time and resources I have on hand. As you can imagine, over in this hostel and with the charity work that we do down on the docks, there's not a great deal to work with, but I'm trying to put something together to try and garner some interest so that we can get more resources allocated to figure out what exactly is going on down there. But yes, on the night question, Angela was... she came by, she was helping us with Nancy Carver. And we needed more hands. There was a lot going on. A couple of gentlemen had like broken out in a fight, and our orderlies were preoccupied. Some of our equipment was damaged. We had a lot of people who were sick, hungry, cold. You can imagine. It was a horrible night, and she was just stepped in, really stepped up to help us do what we needed to do. But yes, yes, and I thanked her and everything, and then this wasn't the first time she's been there helping out, and she doesn't need to. She's not part of our mission really. But yeah, and as far as I know, at the end of the night, Nancy walked her to the trolley station. I believe she takes a trolley home. Yes.
Yeah. So okay. So it was a bit of a rough night for that evening with the...
Yes. I don't know exactly what dispute was over, but there was a group of men who were having an issue with a group of the men, and they'd been drinking during the day. I'm guessing. There's a lot of alcoholics and such that we treat in there, unfortunately, and yes, there was a lot of ruckus, commotion, and one of our staff was injured and actually had to leave, and that's when Angela, your wife, stepped up and said, "Hey, I'm free and I can help for a couple hours if you need it."
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well. And he's, as to the best that I could tell, he's telling the truth, or
You can roll your dice again if you want to try and tell.
just the one?
Yeah, it was one last time, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
100% genuine, telling the truth, honest guy.
Fuck. Okay.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Rickaby. I'd love to help you more, and God knows if I had more hours in the day, I would right now. But I've just got so much to do tonight. I'm afraid I can't spend any more time chit-chatting. If there's anything my office can do for you at all to help you look for Angela, write in, come and see us. My receptionist will take care of you during the week. But right now, I just have to go.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Thank you again, Doctor.
No problem. And I sincerely hope you find your wife in good health. She's an absolute stellar person.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Well. In that case. And there wasn't anything on the card that specifically was like talking about Ward 14 or anything. That was just the other two.
That was just the other guys.
Okay. So yeah, Rocky's not really too worrying about that, I guess. But that's so far. That's like 3 stories talking about Angela. Actually, this might be just me getting confused. The nurse that Rocky spoke to at the medical tent.
Yes.
She said there wasn't really too many, like it wasn't really a abusive like patients or any trouble like that.
No, she said it was entirely uneventful.
Yeah, it was entirely uneventful. But the doctor said that there was some ruffians going on.
Yes, and you 100% believe that he's been completely genuine.
Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure that because I wasn't for sure. I was like, that doesn't match up. Okay.
No, it doesn't match up.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, so far that's still like more than a handful of people telling me that Angela was last seen at the bus stop. So I think, I mean, there's really nothing else that Rocky can do here at the hospital. So I think I might try to go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, on you go.
I think Rocky might try to like properly stake out the bus stop at. I mean, it's getting kind of late, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it'll be really late by now. We're talking like midnight, easily.
Might be too late now, but yeah, I think with the unhealthy obsession or desperation that I'm developing now, I think Rocky might probably end up spending a night in his car watching the bus stop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable. You're just going to go in there and see what you can see, sure.
Yeah.
So you guys in the basement. So you just find a ring, you do some furniture around. It gets close to kind of midnight time, and Wojciech is like yelling for you to come into the hall. And yelling at the Polish guys. You have pulled out almost all the furniture at this point. It kind of stacked up at the end, and it's been taken out the back. And he's giving the guys, it's like $2, $2. He gets you two, and he gives you $2 each.
Seems fair enough. I guess we just take our leave.
That's pretty good for a couple hours work, actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very much so. Do you want to ask him anything when you get a chance?
I'm trying to think like if there is anything to ask. Like I'm trying to use my investigation brain.
I mean, we could ask him if he's seen our friend Sven, because we haven't heard anything from him.
Yes. You know what? Let's go for it.
All right, so you approach him, asking if it's Sven. Sven, one of your guys is Swedish, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, he was here a few nights ago.
Did he seem okay? We've not seen him since then. We've just wondered if he's all right.
He turns around and starts speaking to another one of the guys. They're very skinny, well, lean, but quite muscular, thick black hair. And he's like, says, to him, and shrugs his shoulders. And the Wojciech says to you, he's like, yeah, he was here, helping out. He got paid, and then he went home, just like you guys tonight.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I don't think we're smart enough to be able to probe a bit further, and I don't sure what to ask.
Do you have an interpersonal skill that would help you detect if he's being, like, truthful?
I have intuition, actually. I mean, I guess I could try intuition to see if I can get a read on.
Sure, yeah, give me one dice roll.
Oh, I was going to say I've got respect and charismatic.
Nah, not so much. Yeah, he sounds like he's being genuine.
Oh, fair enough. I guess we can take him at his word.
The only detail I've skipped on here that I want to say is, Rocky, because you were sitting in that waiting room for so long, you're bored and you're just going to read like the signs up on the wall and stuff like that. I'm just going to paste it into the chat there. There's a list of like patrons that the hospital is like put a dedication up to on a plaque, which has helped like with the rebuilding and the refurnishing of this hospital to make it a larger hospital that can serve the community.
Okay.
You don't really know politics and stuff like that, I'm guessing, but you do recognise the name of Mayor Walker because just last year he was up, it was all in the papers, he was up in a court case for corruption charges. They wouldn't have removed his name, I just wrote that down there, but you'd recognise that name in it, out of the people that are kind of listed up there and the organisations that are listed up there.
Sure, yeah.
I wasn't sure which one of you, but I guess since Rocky is the one hanging around the bus stop, Jesus, this music. Hanging around the bus stop this late at night. You're there, Rocky. You know, it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. There's barely anyone around just now. It's just a few stragglers coming in from the other parts of the city. Maybe
I will say I'm keeping an eye out for like anything to do with the bus stop at all, but also I am kind of keeping an eye out for that nurse that I spoke to as well, just in case.
Sure, okay. But yes, you're sitting there in the car, it's freezing cold. You get up and move around every now and again just to try and keep yourself warm, have a smoke, pace back and forth up and down the street maybe. And one of these times when you're up and moving around trying to keep yourself warm, there's someone hobbling along the street, not coming from Tin City, but like coming towards Tin City. and it looks like a woman, maybe about just over 5 feet tall. She's got a hat pulled down over her head. She's got her jacket like wrapped around her. She's pulling it tight, and she's just kind of like, you don't know if she's drunk or what, but she's kind of like hobbling side to side. And at one point, she just kind of like falls off the side of the pavement into a ditch, and lets out a kind of like a yelp of like surprise and pain.
Yeah, Rocky's going to not do the heroic thing and immediately jump to her aid, but he'll actually like he'll freeze the moment he sees her and just watches. But the moment like after she falls, he does wait like a good probably 5 minutes to see if there's anybody else that might have like seen and heard it.
Well, I'm assuming you don't mean as long as 5 minutes, because that's a very long time for somebody to like fall down and stuff.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, he waits to make sure like if anybody else is seeing this. Like he doesn't want to be the first person on the scene, or at the very least, he doesn't want to fall for a trap.
Yeah, and you look around, left, right. You know, there's a fire going. There's still a couple of drunk guys standing around in Tent City, and you can hear them kind of like that low, gravelly, kind of like telling each other jokes in a language you don't understand. But they're a good distance away, and they don't even notice her because she's like up in the street and around the corner. And then you see her just kind of like weakly, crawling on hands and knees out of the ditch. Her jacket kind of like hanging off one shoulder. Her hat is like completely falling off her head. And under the streetlights, you can see her hair is like quite light coloured, almost blonde.
Yeah, that moment. That's whenever Rocky like forgets about worrying about forgets his paranoia and immediately is like, maybe it's Angela, and he'll probably sprint over there.
Run over, grab her by the arms to pull herself up so you can look at her face good in the light, and instantly you recognise her as the photograph of the man's wife you saw earlier today, Nancy Carver.
Okay. Obviously not ideal, but okay. This is big. What condition is she in?
Dishevelled, pale, frail, terrified, gibberish. And if you grab her, she's going to like scream and panic and try to writhe out of your grasp.
Okay. Yeah. Rocky's going to try to try to kind of keep hold of her, and it's just going to try to calm her down. But at the same time, like the whole time he's like trying to like shush her and try to calm her down, like it's okay, you're fine. He's looking around in the direction that she came from, and to see if there's like a vehicle of some sort, or if there's like anybody down that way.
I mean, maybe there's like a vehicle at the far end of the road in the distance, like driving, but that might have just been traffic that's come from the direction anyway. So you grab her and she's screaming, and you're trying to calm her down. You're like, it's okay. And she's just like, I'm not going to do it. I won't do it. I don't care if it's inside me. I won't do it. And then she just like sinks her head into your shoulder and just cries. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Just as the plot thickens.
Just so I make sure I heard that correctly. I don't care if it's inside me.
Yes.
I'm not going to do it.
Yes.
Fan-fucking-tastic. All right. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the corpse that had no innards in it. I'm sure.
I wasn't sure which one of the three kind of groups there was going to be the one to be in the right place at the right time to find her.
I'm just wondering if it's just
Sorry,
it's
go ahead.
the weight loss scheme.
Yeah, no, honestly, I was like kind of dancing around. I was like, because already, like after talking to the nurse, I was like, I really should watch the bus stop, but like, really, what would that do? And then I was kind of dancing around it, and finally the doctor, and like, I mean, now I have a reason to kind of suspect the nurse, but like, yeah, after the doc, I was like, there's really only one thing I can do, and it's just stare at the bus stop and hope.
Well, I thought Gerta might have bumped into her on her way home, or Paul and Eric on their way home.
Yeah.
Somebody would have found her wandering the street.
I think it probably works out better if it's Rocky because he has like the details of the guy whose wife she is.
Yeah, especially since it's like Nancy and I just met her husband, and
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense because you would recognise her more than anyone else. But yeah,
yeah,
I think Laura ran off to feed the cats.
yeah, probably. Oh man, the plot has officially thickened. That was amazing though. Whenever like Eric like almost found that third, that you made have thought it was like a third body. I was like,
Yeah. Two in the one day is bad. 3 is just like, oh god, cursed.
yeah,
People like suspect you.
yeah. I'm so like, oh yeah, that too. But I'm still not sure if like the fact that it turned out to just be rubbish is like more concerning or not.
Yeah. I wasn't willing to rule out that somebody had intentionally wrapped up the rubbish to look like a body.
Yeah, right.
Could also be though just the sort of aftershock of finding
Yeah,
the bodies,
yes.
and you're just like you're seeing things that look like bodies.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to see corpses everywhere, which is honestly horrifying. To be fair.
Yeah. I'm sure that's not something that's going to come up again.
So the next one would be on the 14th. This is Valentine's Day. I'm assuming other halves won't let us play on Valentine's Day. So do you guys want to do it on the Monday next time rather than Tuesday?
Yeah, it should be fine.
That would work
honestly, well. Yeah. Either one should be fine for me.
Yeah, cool. So that'd be the 13th then, I believe.
Sure.
What a lucky day.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm excited now.
Any questions or anything?
Yeah. Where's my wife?
Dun dun dun. Well, you didn't expect to find her in 2 sessions, did you?
Oh God, no. I honestly don't expect to find her at all.
I mean, if you found her in 2 sessions, it would not be a good result.
No, definitely not. Like, if I found her in 2 sessions, she'd probably have to be a corpse in order to not be lame.
Or you find a bit of her.
Or that, yeah. But honestly, yeah, finding the other guy's wife is honestly more concerning, especially in the state that she's in. Because like now it's like, well, what the fuck kind of state is Angela in? So yeah, plenty stressed out. Oh man, so good.
I actually got through more than I thought we would.
Really? I felt like we were kind of like we're still like not even one group yet. We're still dancing around each other.
This is true. I'm trying to like string you together, but it's getting closer because you're going to the same places, at least on the same kind of threads.
It's quite neat. It's more like one of those, like, it's a story featuring 3 separate groups that are regularly bumping into each other.
Yeah.
Which, in its own thing, like, it's against the whole tabletop thing, like, oh, never separate the group. But in this kind of mechanic, it makes it feel more alive.
It's more natural,
definitely,
do you know what I mean? Because it's very unusual for 4 random strangers to meet up and then be like, hey, let's go do this thing together. You know what I mean? Your objectives have to align at some point.
Yeah, and especially since like only some of us are starting to kind of recognize, like, hey, we're kind of bumping into each other a lot more. Like, I mean, Rocky didn't recognize Paul or Eric, but Eric and Paul, it was like, hey, that guy's here. Also, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, but only because of how smart you were dressed.
Yeah, exactly. But like again, that makes sense though, especially like Rocky not recognizing you two because you kind of look like every other, person in Tin City that I've already spoken to like dozens trying to find. And it's like, yeah, it works. I love it.
Yeah, there's
Eventually
only
we're gonna collide together and become a group, and it's gonna make a lot of sense. And
there's only one other location that I'd written that you hadn't really got to, which is one where Gutter's more associated with, but it doesn't make sense for her to be there for a little day or two.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping I can stretch this out to the full campaign probably, because it's a very short scenario that I based on. I need to flesh out a bit more.
Maybe. I mean, like I said, I feel like we're just sort of like inching along. Like we haven't taken any really big steps yet. Like,
oh yeah, I mean 2 sessions in. Not even 2 full sessions in. A session and a half. You shouldn't be that far along.
Yeah. So I'm confident that you can stretch it out.
We'll see. Players are a strange beast.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take forever to get through nothing, and other times you just charge through stuff.
This is
spend
true.
3 hours talking about coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it when players go off on an in-game thing, like between each other, and they spend ages, and I'm just sitting back like, oh, good, this is easy.
Yeah, right. I'm honestly like that for this session in particular. I was kind of worried that like Rocky constantly going off on his own is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go over here. Okay, well I'm gonna go straight over here. I was like wondering if that might have been fucking up things because I mean to be fair, it makes sense for Rocky because hey, where's my wife? Kind of important, but at the same time, I didn't want to like
Yeah.
I guess kind of doing what already just happened and like be the only one to whenever the plot develops significantly, just because I'm the only one there.
Yeah, and because like your extra life responsibilities, people, it's actually the person who's missing. So you've got less sort of distractions going on.
Yeah.
So you are going to be very much more going from one thing to another. Whereas they've got to stop and earn money, find some food, do their job.
Yeah.
Lift some furniture.
Move some furniture. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm hoping I'm not like ruining things by like, oh gosh, my
no.
one-man crusade is like speeding along the plot while everyone else is kind of just doing their own thing.
You never ruin my games, mate. It's fine.
Oh, fair enough.
I was trying to think of a picture of a like Prohibition era blonde woman for when you were showing the photograph around. But I kept thinking back on I saw like a crime film set then a while ago called Kansas City, but I can't find a picture of the main actress in it where she doesn't look incredibly sinister.
I mean, sinister might be what you want though.
It was Jennifer Jason Leigh, I think.
Yeah, because there can be like so many characters, I didn't want to start getting like pictures for them as well, because then it becomes very obvious when you encounter a character that I hadn't at all anticipated or prepared, because suddenly they don't have a picture.
Yeah, right.
And it kind of breaks the illusion a little bit. So it's better to keep it minimalist, I believe. Unless you're one of those people who just have like hordes of photographs on the computer, which some people do for games. Good session anyway, guys. I'll see you on the 13th. I'm going to go now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll look forward to it. Have fun.